4 months I was paying a membership to not even play this fucking game. I was like, what am I doing, dude? Let's see. I guess claim. Any tournaments? Have not joined any team yet. Invites. Robo Crack. Lati Chels. Nice. I don't know. I'll just participate. You cannot join this team because the maximum. Alright, whatever. I don't even want to join your team. Alright, let's fucking. Let's game this up, dude. Let's go down. Alright. Want to play? Probably not. She's probably done playing too. Alright. No. Solo Bolo. Cool down and attack. Yeah, I think I guess cool down is the way to go. Burn, baby, burn, burn. Burn, baby, burn, burn. Baby burger. Let's do this. World Store. I wonder if this is a bot match. Seems like a bot match, so.
Ready, go!
Bot match. crazy. The bots have actually defeated Rayquaza and are actually gonna go score. That's crazy.
Five, four, three, two, one. Time's up. You win.
Save replay.
Goal! The final stretch! You're on fire! You're on fire! Goal! Five, four, three, two, one. Time's up.
I'm a pirate. A pirate.
You win.
Maybe it's time I tested my strength out too. My dad could make rubble out of this rock. Yeah! Not even a crack. Maybe it's time I tested my strength out too. My dad could make rubble out of this rock. Yeah! Not even a crack.
What are those neon?
Class, welcome our new student.
And now it's time.
Fucking, you like Chloe? What the fuck?
week, so we are.
I've always been insecure about my neck, but I feel like
Holds on to everything that he. What do you guys do for fun?
We
Have the jacket of Jay Leno, special skills. This time ever, Boneseye made like a rainbow-colored Kill Tony big joke book, and I feel like you're just liberal enough to appreciate.
Having sex with skinny white women is like eating plain Greek yogurt. It's like, I don't want to eat this shit, but I'm hungry as fuck. It's like, you ain't got no honey or no granola, nigga. I hang with Rogan, but I don't believe in aliens. Because why no niggas ain't never seen them? Why aliens don't come to the hood, you know what I'm saying? Because they know niggas will steal their spaceship, you know? And niggas will be all at the moon like, what's the Bluetooth, dog? All right, that's my time, man. Thank you.
Unbelievable. You see that? It really stands out on this episode because you just put on a little bit of a clinic. You took your time, which not many people did tonight. You enunciated, which not many people did tonight. You wrote, which almost nobody did tonight. And you had a great premise. Aliens don't go to the hood. A four-pronged attack, which we have rarely seen this episode. That's what stand-up comedy is all about. David Lucas, fresh off of taping his debut special this weekend here at the Mothership. I walked in the back of the room on Saturday night, and he was absolutely smashing, riffing on his toes, which is not easy to do for a guy like you.
Tony, shut up.
I'm sure your feet are holding on by threads down there. I mean, I cannot even imagine what those fucking hooves must look like that you're dealing with. You have the jacket of Jay Leno, and you're shaped like one of his cars. David, what's going on? You're breathing heavy over there. Oh shit, he's loading up.
Tony looked like he get the Heimlich maneuver for fun.
That is true. I actually do.
Sugar Sean, you look like you sell camels with no hump, nigga.
David Lucas, one of the roast gods of the history of Kill Tony. Dearly missed.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I ain't gonna.
Absolutely. So what else is going on?
That's it. I started this new fucking medicine. I got an infection. That shit fucking me up.
What kind of infection do you have?
Don't worry about it.
Oh, shit. Yeah, is it yeast?
Is it yeast? Did you get a yeast infection from eating so much bread?
You know what's crazy? For like the last... I stopped when I filmed my special because that shit was giving me so much anxiety. Like when we was at the marinas, I'm like, what is wrong, man? I'm like, oh, it's that medicine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can't tell you what it is.
I could tell you're acting different right now. Sure.
Yeah.
I know, bro. So look, I'm on antibiotics, I'm on fucking allergy medicine and tequila, nigga. That's a fucking...
Oh, shit, dude.
That's some UFC shit, nigga. I feel like I should dye my hair like this nigga.
Oh my goodness, you are following in Patrice O'Neal's footsteps at an incredible rate.
You followed in Andy Dick's footsteps.
Oh shit. Why'd you laugh when my own security guy laughed? You just covered up his mouth like that. I saw that, you son of a bitch. I just caught him covering his mouth so that I didn't see him laughing. Look at the tough guy over here. You're supposed to be keeping me safe.
Joe Lynch looked like a healthy Nick Diaz.
Oh, Rick Diaz.
Oh, Rick Diaz, yeah.
Yeah. He looks nothing like a healthy Nick Diaz.
Who is Nick Diaz?
Nick Diaz is a fighter. Nate Diaz is
thought it was
older
Nick-
brother.
Oh, yeah.
Rick Diaz. Yeah.
Why you put that white shit on? You and Tony matching? Like, y'all look like y'all about to baptize some fags. Sugar Shane, you look like Post Malone therapist, nigga. Y'all.
Damn.
I'm still me, even on medicine, nigga.
This is incredible to see. You still have it over here roasting sugar like you're making s'mores or something like that. Absolutely incredible. It's weird to see you in this kind of... I mean, I almost said shape, but you've always been the same shape.
I'm actually 18 pounds down, bitch.
18 pounds down. That is...
Red Band, what?
So that's 0.05 of your body weight. It's incredible. Red Band actually with a good roast joke over there. This is incredible. Fat people roasting fat people here on this show.
That's funny.
Unbelievable. David checking his caloric intake on his phone.
Nah, man, I got a text message from RuPaul. The nigga said you gotta film in 5 minutes. They filming Drag Race at Anton's. Whatever that shit called.
You're so funny.
Thank you, dog.
We miss you dearly on this show.
I miss y'all, man. Appreciate y'all, man.
Get back in good health. Come back again. Plug some shit.
Tacoma, October 12th through the 15th. Tempe, October 20th through the 21st. I'm bringing Cam. Gonzales, Louisiana, October 26th through the 27th. New Orleans, October 29th. I see y'all. I love y'all. Peace.
Yeah. The great and powerful David Lucas, everybody. We love him. He is in weird form tonight. He better not die. That's how it happens. Stand-up comedy, we watch people die all the time. You guys having fun out there? Pulled another name out of the bucket. Here we go. 60 seconds uninterrupted going to Ben Williams, everybody. Ben Williams. Can you believe he's the new... Oh, no, we know Ben. It's the return of Ben Williams. We've seen him before. 60 seconds from Ben Williams.
How's everybody doing? Woo! At this point, I think it's somebody looking in the mirror and saying my name 3 times. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Yeah, I know I'm ugly, you know. Yeah, like, I knew I was... I knew I was ugly. I knew I was ugly when I went to the haunted house and they thought I worked there. I was like, they jumped out, hey, why you not at your post, man? Why you not, it's 9 o'clock. Yeah, man. So dating is tough, you know. So if any women in the audience want to donate me some pussy, I would greatly appreciate it, you know. It's been so long, I don't know what one looks like anymore. You know? But I'm bad at one-night stands, you know. It always ends badly for me, you know. The last one-night stand I had, it didn't end well because I ended up catching feelings and she ended up catching the STD. Don't worry, after 2 weeks it went away. It went away. I recently had a loss. My grandma died. So I've been taking it hard. Like, I've really been taking it hard. So now I'm sad and my ass hurts.
You're on fire!
But yeah, man, yeah, life's been rough, man. Yeah.
There you go. Ben Williams doing more than a minute.
Yeah, more than a minute.
You are a lucky guy. I do believe this is your 3rd bucket pull in 4 weeks.
Yeah, I'm very grateful. Thank you.
That isn't. It's not. It has nothing to do with me.
No.
You literally.
No.
There's a bunch of pieces of paper, and I pull a name out. You're very, very lucky. Is my point.
Yeah, lucky, yeah.
Why do you think you're so lucky? Why do you think when I pull a piece of paper out, why do you think destiny keeps calling your name? Do you think it's overcompensating for the face that it gave you?
Yes.
We've roasted you every which fucking direction the last 4 weeks. It is incredible. It looks like you're wearing like fake Halloween teeth tonight. It seems like it gets a little bit worse every week. You're like,
I know, right?
it is incredible. You really are. You said that you're ugly, but let me tell you, I could not agree more.
The
James Atkins on the drums has been laughing since you got on stage.
That was awesome.
Not at anything that you said, but he caught a glimpse of your face.
Yeah. That's my goal, just to walk on stage and everybody laugh for like 30 minutes at my face, and I still get paid and just go out, just walk out to sunset.
It is incredible.
Yeah.
He's
Right.
gonna go far, Tony. He's got a lot of teeth in the game.
I mean, it is wild. Do your parents look like you? It is amazing. I mean, it is incredible. It is unbelievable.
Yeah,
I
they're
mean-
gonna put they're gonna add my picture to the definition of ugly.
You look like if Tyler Perry made an E.T. film. I guess we would call it B.E.T. Except you probably don't have a home that you could phone to. You know what I mean? And it's if E.T. rode a stolen bicycle. My goodness gracious. So remind us, tell us about your life a little bit. What's been going on?
Oh yeah, man, I just been doing a lot of stand-up. I've been actually doing this for 6 months, guys. I just been grinding hard doing this and just trying to perfect my craft and stuff like that. I'm from Galveston, and if you guys don't know what that said, I say it's a mixture between Gilligan's Island and The Walking Dead. But it's an awesome place, man.
What does your dentist do for a living?
He actually retired, so like he was like, "Oh, I quit." Like he seen me like, "I can't do nothing with this." Like, fuck it.
My goodness.
Well,
Yeah.
it's really good you moved out here. You're really gonna cut your teeth out here.
Joe List, what do you think about this guy?
Time's up.
I actually think his teeth are better than mine, honestly. I guess you guys haven't seen my teeth, but if you had.
No. His teeth are much, much worse than yours.
No, I know. I just, just trying to. I felt sad for him.
Do you really ever, what's your love life really like? Like the last time you were with a girl, what happened?
Oh man, it's been like over a year, and that's like that wasn't a bid. Like she actually was 60 years old. Yeah, yeah.
Hold on a second.
I was trying to be nice when I met. I was just walking across the street, and she was like, "Oh, you're so nice. I ain't had none in a while." And I was like, okay. So I walk her to the door, and she says again. She's like, I ain't had none in a while, and I still wasn't gonna do it. And then she was like, hey, you drink? I was like, I do. She said, you smoke weed? I do. She's like, you pop Xanax? I was like, oh, I love this bitch. So it was like, and it was like,
oh my goodness. Wow. With teeth like that, I'm not surprised you caught a cougar, you know what I mean? I mean, those things are absolutely aggressive. It is incredible. Is there something can you do like tricks? Can you like eat foods really fast or something like that?
I mean, I don't know. I probably bite real hard. It's my go-to move in a fight.
Yeah. All right. All right. You've been on this show a lot. We've interviewed you a lot. You got up again. Congratulations.
Thank
We're
you
going to
so
keep
much.
moving forward. There he goes,
All right,
Ben
thank
Williams,
y'all.
everybody.
Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all.
Okay. I pulled another name out of the bucket, but before we get to that, we have yet another special treat for you. I have been promising this guy a spot at Redemption for a while. He has been asking for it. The last time we saw him, he challenged Hans, and Hans bodied him. 15 punchlines to 0. The guy prides himself, formerly at least, on being a storyteller that tries to squeeze a story into a minute. But I'm telling you, he's always been much funnier off stage. He doesn't show it a lot on his social media, but the guy is funny in real life. He swears that he's ready to kill for a minute on this show. You've seen him many times. Another shot at redemption. This is a brand new minute from Uncle Laser, everybody. Here we go. The new underdog, it sounds like, Uncle Laser.
First off, fuck Christian Mingle, okay? All right? You should just call it catfish by the Catholic, okay? It's a crock of shit, all right? Right? Them women out there aren't Christians, they're whores, absolute whores. You know what I'm saying? Look, I get on there to find a nice young lady with some structure, give me a little balance, a little accountability, right? Someone to get mad at me when I'm doing cocaine in the garage at 7:30 in the morning on a Tuesday building a go-kart. You know what I'm saying? But instead, I get a bitch that's got 8 kids and 9 baby daddies. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I went to public school. That math don't add up. You know what I'm talking about? And she just had a baby 3 weeks prior to the date, okay? Y'all ever been inside a pussy that just gave birth? Incredible. That pussy was wallered out, right? It looked like a fucking mud flap on the back of an 18-wheeler just blowing around in the breeze, right? It looked like fucking chewed up bubble gum, but fucking under the park bench pussy. It ain't quite got the flavor, but it's chewed up just nice. You know what I'm talking about? Chewed up just nice. Cause I'm gonna be honest with y'all real quick. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Tight pussy.
Go ahead.
Tight pussy makes me claustrophobic.
Uncle Laser, look at that. Wow.
I didn't get the fucking meow.
You talked over it. It's good.
Okay.
I didn't hear it either. I was questioning it as well. I'm with you, but you're a loud projecting guy.
Okay.
And that was, by the way, without a doubt, the best set you've ever had on
you,
the
baby.
show.
Thank you,
Congratulations. It is part of your storyline. It was incredible. You came out guns a-blazing early on the show, and you would get drunk before the show, and then you would started doing vast amounts of cocaine before your sets, and then you would drink more and then do more cocaine. Your answer to everything
was cocaine.
And now, tell the people, what's your cocaine situation now?
3 days sober of it.
Right, 3 days.
Until tonight, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's my birthday.
It is his birthday, everybody. It's a Coke night. It's a Coke night. I still have David Lucas ahead of you on my death poll as of tonight. He is sluggish seeming. You might want to give him a little bump of something. Wait to up a little bit.
It's fine, dude.
My goodness.
Can I say something real quick?
Oh, shit. Here we go. A heartfelt moment with Uncle Laser.
Sean O'Malley. Listen, I got a good head of lettuce, right? Look at me, you know what I'm saying? But look at you. Look, I fuck, but you fuck on the first date. You fuck on the car ride to Chili's. You know what I'm talking about? I like that kind of shit.
All right, Uncle Laser wants to fuck Sugar Sean O'Malley. Sugar, what do you want to say about that?
I would love to do cocaine with you, brother.
Yeah, look at that. Happy birthday to you.
Hey, it's a nice day for a white wedding. You know what I'm talking about?
Sugar Sean, meet Booga Sugar Sean. This is Uncle Laser. Joe List, what do you think about this?
I think neither of you should do cocaine together. Or wait till I'm off the premise, if you could.
Yeah. Joe List is the fentanyl test strip of this panel here tonight. Uncle Laser's birthday. How old are you?
33 years young, baby.
Wow. 33 years young.
What a baby.
And your stand-up is sharp. Tell us, what's your regimen been? How have you been working this out? Were you able to finally summon a bunch of punchlines in 60 seconds?
Well, I've been doing the hooked on phonics, right? So I learned how to write just a tad bit. Turns out writing makes a world of a difference. You just can't come up here and wing it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a piece of shit. That's on me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I just took a bunch of mushrooms, like a hero dose, like 8 grams, went and talked to Jesus, and we had us a time. And really what it was my daddy called me and goes, yo, you're fucking up, boy. That little Asian boy buried your ass. You know what I'm saying? He said, you went up on that man's show with that goofy haircut and you go all drunk, you spill your bag of cocaine on the ground. He said, that's not the boy I raised. He said, you need to get better. Or you got to go back to them oil fields. And I was like, well, let me learn how to read and write. You know what I'm saying? So.
Right, that makes sense. And so you've been practicing, you've actually been headlining your own shows. You're taking a very, very interestingly 2023 approach. You're taking your internet fame to sell tickets.
Yeah.
kind of rushing to headline, but that's learning quick, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, because of all that bullshit, I skipped the open mic stage, which I really wish I wouldn't, because instead of bombing in front of 10 people, I'm bombing in front of 200 people at the secret show, you know what I'm saying? So you kind of have to learn. So it's all adjustments. Like, now I'm starting to understand the format and the art and the foundation and structure and shit, and like actually getting a laugh instead of being a fucking maniac for a laugh, you know what I'm saying? So like, and look, I'm nowhere where I want to be, you know what I'm saying? I don't think I'm the best by any means, but I'm starting to learn and starting to have appreciation for the actual art form of what's going on, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
And it's very interesting because you have a different path. Everybody has a very different path. Nothing is a straight line, and if it was a straight line, you would snort it.
I already did, you know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah. Well, my friend, this is a fairy tale fucking story. Joe List, anything else for Uncle Laser?
No, that was touching. Even when you're being genuine, it sounds like a wrestling promo, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. I love what happened here tonight. I've always thought you were this funny, and every time before this, you've come out and completely disappointed me. And so, for this to happen tonight, it's the fucking start of a new era. Keep your goddamn, we'll have fun tonight, but after that, get back to fucking what you're doing.
I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, man. It don't go unwanted. I appreciate
It is not easy, and the internet will hate me for it, but I continue to believe that you're going to show these people the spirit that's inside. Roseanne said it best when she first saw you. She said that there's a fucking a little boy. No, she said the opposite. She said that she sees a little country boy underneath all those tattoos and the fucking distraction haircut and all this shit that you have, all this charactery stuff. There's a real guy in there, and you showed it tonight.
Thank you.
There he is, Uncle Laser. Happy birthday, buddy. Yeah. Here's some Zippix toothpicks, Uncle Laser. Happy birthday from Zippix. Zip more, smoke less. From Zippix. All right, pulling another name out of the bucket. We still having fun out there, huh? It's a good crowd. I like you guys. I like this audience tonight. Very rarely do I love an audience. I like you guys. All right, we're gonna meet this person all together. It's Zeke Houlette. Zeke Houlet, perhaps. Zeke Houlette. Here's Zeke, everybody. Come on, one more time for Zeke, everyone. Let's go.
How y'all doing? I watch a decent amount of anime. Y'all watch anime? Yeah? Yeah. I also grew up in a small white town, so I got called Freddy a lot for watching. And jokes on them, I got to college. That's the only thing I had in common with my black friends. It's true. It's a true fact. Like, if you guys didn't know this, anime is like the I Write Sins, Not Tragedies by Panic at the Disco of television. Thoroughly enjoyed by weird white dudes and black guys. Right? Like, you might not believe me about the anime thing, but I tested on my cousin for the song. You know, like, I started him off easy. Started him off with some Green Day. He's like, turn this whack shit off, dude. I was like, what, you don't like Green Day? What's going on? He was like, nah, my girlfriend listens to this shit all the time. I do know one song, though. I already had that shit queued, okay? Like, you ever seen Celebrity Lip Sync Battle? Remember when Snoop Dogg does Don't Stop Believin'? All the right lyrics for on choreography?
Jesus Christ, Zeke. Oh,
Fuck.
boy. Oh, fuck
Damn it.
Nope, too late now.
I know it.
Relax. Here we go. We're going to get into it. Have you been on this show before?
Uh-huh. About a month or two ago.
Right. Okay. How did that go? Better?
No.
No.
The bit went better. Like, my bit got a decent amount more laughs.
It was a different bit, though.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
And then the interview, the end of it, I got shit on a little bit.
Why? What happened?
I went after Cam's uncle.
Uh-huh.
So you asked me what the craziest thing that I've ever done is.
Uh-huh.
Wasn't a great story.
Uh-huh.
And it took a while.
Have you thought of a better one since then?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, just a decent amount of crazy. Like, I've gotten multiple guns pointed on me on the road because I think I'm better than everyone in Austin at driving.
You do?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because, like, I'm pretty sure that people in Austin forget two things when they're on the road.
Uh-huh.
When the next exit is and what a turn signal even is.
Oh, you suck, dude.
It's the
All
worst day of my life.
So let's talk about it. How long have you been doing stand-up?
Just, like, a little over a year right
A
now.
little over a year. What made you want to start this?
I got kicked off the wrestling team.
You got kicked off the wrestling team.
Uh-huh.
An adult wrestling team?
College.
College?
Yeah.
Okay, why'd they kick you off?
I missed a COVID test.
Okay.
Stuff.
All
Yeah.
right. Wow.
I didn't
My
like
goodness,
it.
it gets less and less interesting the more questions I ask.
Every time.
Okay. Sugar Sean, what do you think about
I was just gonna ask, how are your eyes smaller than Hans Kim?
It is incredible. It is incredible. And you have a smaller forehead than Uncle Laser. It's wild. You look like a baby gay werewolf of some kind. It's
That's fair.
incredible. So, what are your parents like? I'm trying to figure out more about you so that you have anything funny to talk about in the universe.
My parents, my dad used to race downhill mountain biking professionally, and my mom was just with him that entire time.
Wow, your career is going downhill as well. This is incredible. Joe List, what do you think about this?
I thought it was fascinating. First of all, why did the chicken cross the road? To get on the worst shirt of all time?
Oh, yeah. There it is.
What I thought was fascinating was you're wearing chickens on your shirt, and then you also kind of flapped your elbows during your set. Is that on purpose?
It is. And then you laid an egg up here.
I used to wrestle. I keep my elbows in, and then they come out sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
No, I thought it was good. I thought the crowd sucked.
Do things go better for you other times, other places, Zeke, or do you just love the punishment of?
They usually go better.
Okay. Wow. So much personality. I don't even know what to do with it all.
That's about it. Yeah.
What's your love life like, Zeke?
I've been single for about 3 years. So.
When's the last time you kissed a girl?
Last time I kissed a girl? Last time I had sex was like a year ago.
That's a total different question.
Well, I don't remember every time I kiss a girl.
I don't remember every time I kissed a girl. How about, can you take a guess when the last time you kissed a girl is, Zeke?
I'd probably say about 3 or 4 months ago.
Okay. Where was that? What was that situation?
Just like at a bar, drunk.
Okay. All right, Zeke. Any special skills or talents?
I can do a backflip right now.
I know you can't. No, you can't. There's stuff behind you. So you definitely can't. You definitely do not have room to do it, Zeke. You do not.
Are you telling me no?
Are you saying that you can do a backflip literally in this space? You're the one that knows your capability.
I'm saying I'll do a backflip or I'll fail it and it'll be pretty funny probably.
No. It won't be funny. It won't be funny. Part of my job is to protect Joe Rogan in keeping hundreds of millions of dollars.
That's fair.
He also said he could do a minute of stand-up comedy.
Brum, 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 brum. Jet ski. I'll tell you what, you can do a backflip in the alleyway and hit the road, Jack. There you go, Zeke Poulet, everybody. There goes Zeke. I don't know. I just don't know. What time did we start? I feel like I should pull, but everybody's at the bar. Everybody's at the bar next door, so maybe I'll do something I never have done before. Maybe I'll pull until I get someone from the inside. How does that sound? All right, let's see what happens here. Let's see if we got anybody. Wait a second. Wait, I bet this guy's here. This would be a fun thing to go to. Make some noise. He's got to be around somewhere. If not, we'll find him. He's got to be here. Make some noise for David Jolly, everybody. Kill Tony, legend of the game. Famously Cam Patterson's uncle. Very, very fun. Very fucking funny guy. We got to get him up here. Let's see what happens here. How many of you like it when comedians do good on this show? How How many of you like it when comedians do bad on this show? We got him. Ladies and gentlemen, the creator of the term gang violence, Cam Patterson's uncle, the man that brought Cam Patterson to Austin, Texas. This is Kill Tony instant legend, David Jolly, everybody.
How y'all doing, white people in Puerto Rico? Since I've been living here in Austin, like we got homeless people in Orlando, but in Austin, they got homeless people. Like these motherfuckers professionals, you know what I mean? It's like every time you see the homeless people, you always see them with a dog. And all I can think is, where the fuck they getting all these homeless dogs from? It's like as soon as you become a professional homeless person, they assign you a dog or something. Like this is Tyler. He is 45 years old. Not in dog years. This bitch is 45 years old. And it's crazy, man, because I'm an empathetic person. You see him, you know what I mean? The guy has his sign. His sign says, hey, man, me and Tyler are extremely hungry. If you could, anything helps. That's when I look him in his eyes. And I say, I know you fucking lying. You ain't that hungry. You ain't ate that dog yet. Tell me you fucking hungry, you got all this protein you walk around here with. I ain't never worried about that, because Hans Kim, my friend, he know how to, all right. That's
David motherfucking Jolly.
PAC, what up?
Hell yeah.
Hey, gang violence, yeah! Hey, we here now.
Legend of the game, David Jolly, Orlando, Florida, all the way to Austin, Texas, famously.
I'm an Austinite now. I'm finna get me some boots and a belt buckle.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll do a inspired Gene Wilder type of
Hell yeah, you with it?
Yeah.
That shit'll be beautiful.
Yeah.
You think it'll be beautiful? What you say, white man? He don't know what the fuck going on. He don't care to me. He high as hell right now.
These little Texas kids are scared to death of David Jolly. They've never seen anything like it.
They don't know what the fuck I'm saying
They
right
just
now.
see that gold tooth, they just get hypnotized. It's incredible. Have you always had that? Is that new?
What, the gold teeth?
Yeah.
The bitches been there, man. These bitches ragged as hell.
Hell yeah.
You know what the fuck going on. Hell yeah.
Okay.
Now that nigga on ketamine. He's definitely on ketamine.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. What up, Brian? How you doing, buddy? What up, Kinfolk? Yeah, that's my partner there, man. That red man. You feel me? What's up with you, Kinfolk? Hell yeah. What's up, Joe? Hey, it's a dude named Goran, look just like you, but he just bomb all the time. He a comic from Orlando. He sounds hot. Yeah. Whatever you into. Ain't you like Russian or some shit? Am I Russian? Oh, no, my bad. That's racist as fuck. I'm sorry. Russian? Goran like Russian, or he like a Viking or something of that crazy European shit, you know what I mean? Me? No, Goran, I'm sorry.
Oh, I think it's me.
No, my bad, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm not offended.
Let me relax, my bad.
You're good. You're doing just fine.
I had to run all the way from upstairs. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I know. We had one of the police officers chase you so you felt at home.
No, that just happened. It just happened. He was like, wait, what the fuck going on?
Get on the fucking ground.
Then somebody yelled out, hey, he's one of the good ones.
Yeah.
So I was all right as he said that. I had to stamp of approval, you feel me?
David Jolly is absolutely beloved here at the Mothership. You get a lot of spots. You're in the little boy working it out all the time.
Guess what happened?
Yeah.
I'm a motherfucking door guy now. They
Are you
let
got
me in the
hired?
fucking
Oh
building.
my God.
Let me in the
Oh my God. Welcome to Joe Rogan's Comedy Club. Holy shit, there are no background checks here whatsoever.
None.
Oh
None.
my God.
I was like, you sure, motherfucker? Those niggas psyching me out. I thought it was
No
a psych.
take-backs. You're like, okay, no take-backs.
I thought it was a fucking psych. I'm like, these bitches psyching me out. I know what's going on.
They're like, you're a door guy now. Don't let people in that look like this. And they show a picture of you.
Yeah. And then I'm the motherfucker patting them down and shit. That's crazy, man. I love it. God is good.
That's incredible. How long have you been working here? This sounds like a joke. I cannot picture you working here.
Why?
You're the oldest store guy by 20 years at least.
Well, you about right, you know.
I didn't realize we had a new rehabilitation system here at the mothership. Trying to clean.
My name's Tony Hinchcliffe. Fucking ass.
Uh-oh, he's getting mad. He's turning on
I'm
me.
just fucking with you. You know you're my brother, man.
Shit, you're about to lose your job, homie.
Damn, you gonna get me fired?
I'm kidding. I love you.
God damn, Tony.
I love you being the tour guy here. That is absolutely hilarious. What a diversity program we have.
It was through like my probation officer. Like Joe got to meet a quota, so you know that's why I'm. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
All right. Oh shit, it's beautiful, man.
What's your living situation, David Jolly?
Oh, I live. I ain't gonna tell y'all where I live at. Cause
I
y'all
mean, I wasn't asking for
fucking
your
weirdos. You know what I mean?
address or anything.
Well, yeah, no, I stay like I got some roommates, some other cats from Orlando came, and like we all rent a room. I was staying way out there on the east side with shit. I was like, this shit too far. You know what I mean?
Right.
But nah, I don't stay too far from here. You know what I mean? Like we moving and grooving. You feel me? TAC, we out here.
Absolutely. Moving on up. Okay. What's your love life like, David Jolly? When we first met you, you were talking about how you were getting your dick sucked from behind.
I'm with the same girl.
You're with the same girl?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Hey, but if you single and you a white woman with good credit, she don't live here, so you know. She understand, you know, we gotta eat out here on these streets. You feel me? You feel me?
Hell yeah.
You feel me? Hell yeah.
Absolutely. David Jolly. My goodness. Joe, have you ever seen anyone quite like this before?
No, this is really something. I also feel you, and you're like magnanimous. It's really, it's like
good energy.
Yeah,
It's good energy, right?
I feel lifted up.
That's why me and Tony best friends, ain't we?
Yeah, and now you're friends with Joe. I do believe his amount of black friends just doubled in front of our eyes.
Lock that shit in.
You guys got a real handshake. Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Hey, you can go to any barbecue now. You just got to give them that shit there. They're going to let you right in that bitch.
My goodness.
I put out a vibe of someone that's never met black people, but I swear to God, I know many, many black people.
How many black friends you got? You can count them motherfuckers. You know their names? Jamal, Deontay.
Several.
He's cool.
I lived in Harlem for 1 year.
Oh, hell yeah. It's a lot of colors over there.
He's cool. He's
Joe cool.
He's been smoking your index finger for about 10 minutes.
That is about the same color.
That's your
you
thumb,
right.
David. That's your thumb.
Makes sense.
Your
I get
index
it.
finger's your pointy finger.
Man, same thing, man.
No, it's
you know
not the
fuck
same
I'm
thing.
talking about.
It's literally
Man,
not the same thing. It is the opposite of the same thing.
That was so stupid.
It is a different thing. A thumb and an
God,
index
that was
finger. I go, he's been swinging your index finger. David's like, let's see.
I cannot believe I did that on national television. This is like
television?
It's fucking crazy, man. My mama did not raise me like this.
It is the
Out here.
World Wide Web.
Same thing,
National television. That's like saying the thumb is an index finger.
It's the same damn thing.
You're too old
got
for
what I
this
was
shit.
talking about. Too old
He
for
is
this
too
shit.
old for this shit.
Hey.
He's like, I can't believe I did this on Johnny Carson. I mean, Phil Tony.
Hey, gang violence, bitch.
Gang violence, baby. Make some fucking noise for David Jolly, everybody.
Hey. Can I do the secret show? Can I do the secret show?
Of course you can, my friend.
There you go, David Jolly. He's in it. Absolutely, making sure he gets some work out of this. The great David Jolly. Absolutely, we love you, David Jolly. Follow him at Mr. D Jolly on Instagram and Twitter. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to that hour of the night where there's only one move left to do. Who better to have here than two fresh panelists that have never been here for the force of nature that's about to take this stage. Kill Tony Hall of Famer, the only living member of the Kill Tony Hall of Fame, up there with the great Michael, late and great Michael Lair. A lot of people call him the Vanilla Gorilla, the Memphis Strangler. He's a man of many names. This is indeed the Big Red Machine, the one, the only, the great, the powerful, William Montgomery, everybody.
Red Band, happy Yom Kippur. I'd ask if you fasted today, but I think we all already know the answer to that. Holy shit. Also, Sean, I just have to say you seem much nicer than Richard Pisping when he was on the show. It's kind of a deep cut. Okay, let's keep going. If you paid me $500,000 to claim Russell Brand raped me, he'd now be up to 5 accusers. I'm not saying those women were paid off. I'm just saying I can probably figure out a time the two of us were in remotely the same time zone. Russell Brand announced he is taking time away from comedy and will reappear in 2 years as the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. Also, I just watched Snakes on a Plane, so I'd like to say, enough is enough. I've had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. Okay, that's my time. Thank y'all.
William Montgomery. Wow. Look at this iconic moment. This is basically, I mean, you're basically the same. How did you know he was wearing green shorts, by the way? Look at this.
Sean, so nice.
This is incredible.
So nice. Yes, Sean, I did this because I know you're getting very famous now. I was wondering if you needed a body double. That's why I came out here like this. Seriously, if you need a body double. Never stop! Yeah. I never gonna stop being your body double! Cool, yeah. Thank you so much.
Shit. Here we go.
Out of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking planet!
Wow. This is...
Quit looking at my dick, man!
It is very aggressive. I mean, there is a lot going on. We have so much to talk about right now. William Montgomery, famously the record holder for appearances and interviews on this show, and we are literally seeing more of him than we've ever seen before. For those of you that are just listening to the podcast, let me update you. He is indeed basically shirtless and almost pantless. He has an absolutely inordinate amount of dick on the front. I mean, there is something in there.
And if y'all were wondering, it is actually very cold backstage, okay? Shut up, bitch! Holy shit.
And I think we finally found out why he doesn't wipe his ass. It turns out he doesn't have one. It is incredible. William, turn around and show these people your... that is... Wow.
If y'all don't think I've been practicing my twerking, you'd be wrong. I mean, check this out.
That is just loose underwear bouncing for those of you thinking you're seeing twerking right now. He is shaking the loose underwear where his ass should
be. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing.
This
now.
place is fucking wild right now. And then, William, let's talk about all that fucking What is that in the front of your pants? Do you have something in there?
Yeah.
Please tell me that's like a sock or something.
Do you have 2 dicks?
Yeah. It looks like there's like stuff going on in there.
I have to be honest with you. I have 2 dicks and 3 testicles.
Wow. That is incredible.
It's like a coconut shrimp or something. What is that?
Oh, right.
Coconut shrimp or something. Holy shit! Fucking bitch!
What the fuck is that?
You have his mouth watering at the thought of a coconut shrimp right now. William Montgomery showing off today, a perfect body. Next to Sugar Sean, you guys look like a before and after for exercise. This is absolutely incredible. Oh my God, what is that?
There's something in my stomach!
Oh my God, it's trying to get out. This is incredible. Wow. My goodness. You look like the stepdad that turned Sugar Sean into an elite athlete. It's absolutely amazing. Your stomach is doing something outrageous. What is that? How do you do that?
It's called a front twerk.
Joe List, please explain to us what you think is going on up here.
You look like never been to the gym, the Anvil Neidhart.
What?
I almost did a spit take. That was very, very good.
Tony liked it.
Those of you that know Jim the Anvil Neidhart will laugh very hard at that.
I guess nobody knows who he is. He was a wrestler 48 years ago.
Yep.
He had a beard.
Wore sunglasses, giant red beard. Yeah. Not quite as misshapen as you.
Yeah.
This is incredible, William. Explain to us how you get a body like that.
I do 75 sit-ups a day. I do 200 push-ups a day. I'm doing 200 pull-ups a day. I'm doing 75 burpees outside. I mean, it's been so hot. I do a bunch of side straddle hops. I'm doing, what else? I'm doing bench press, barbells. What else? I have a Stairmaster. I have a, what was that fucking noise? What the fuck is back there? But yeah, no, Tony, I've been working out super hard. But yeah, Sean, I mean, I swear to God, man, if you need some sort of security or anything like that, I would be more than willing to help. Just let me know maybe after the show.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Can you perhaps put the mic in the mic stand and show us what you would do if someone tried to attack Sugar Sean? Can you give us a little of that fight? Yeah, well, here he is.
Joe, do you want to stand up?
Okay.
Joe.
Wait. All right. Don't hurt anybody. Don't touch anybody. Whoa. That was... Wow. Looks like someone may have found a new gig here tonight. Joe, how does it feel?
Well, that was scary because I could see Sean on the other side of him, so that was kind of terrifying. Now, for the folks at home, though, your body is not that bad. We're making jokes. That's it's not horrible.
Especially those knees. Look at those knees.
Yeah.
Red Band taking shots.
Yeah, Red Band. Well, his mom also kind of likes my body because I was in Ohio last week, dude. Beating that shit up! I don't give a fuck, Red Band! But yeah, I don't know if y'all have seen snakes on a plane. I saw it for the first time this past weekend. That's crazy. They let loose a bunch of snakes on a motherfucking plane.
The Big Red Machine showing us today exactly why he has that name. After we found out here today that he has 2 dicks and 3 testicles.
It was a very expensive surgery I did.
Oh, there you go. There you do have hemorrhoids. How have your hemorrhoids been looking?
They're actually better. Some good Samaritans sent me a box here filled with Preparation H wipe. So whoever did that, I genuinely
That is
appreciate
true.
it.
I was at Mitzi's when the package arrived. He literally got a giant box of Preparation H wipes.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe it was a big box of money or something. It was fucking asshole wipes. So, but thank you, whoever did that. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't you. Who keeps on fucking doing that, you dumbass?
What are you going to do to that person who keeps yelling?
I'm gonna fucking meet you outside with Sean, and we're gonna start cutting you from the ground up. I don't even know what that means. Cutting you from the ground up. What does that mean? But yeah, we'll probably kill you, fucking dumbass.
An absolute monster. He did it again. Another new minute. Repping Sugar Sean O'Malley. Make some noise for the great and powerful William Montgomery, everybody. The drawing is in from Ryan J. Ebelt. It's another fucking absolutely awesome one. Let's check out the local artist, Chris Rogers. Oh yes, that's right. That is in homage of our #1 loyal audience member, the great Chief Turnbull, right over here. Comes every single week. Those are his pets. How cool is that? From fucking all the way back at that first club that we were at here to Vulcan to here. One of our favorite people. How about a hand for Chief, everybody? I do believe it's his birthday. Sharing a birthday with Uncle Laser.
Happy birthday.
How loud can this place get for the reigning, defending UFC bantamweight champion of the world, Sugar Sean O'Malley? And make some noise for one of my favorite comedians, the great and powerful Joe List, everyone. Enough for everybody out on YouTube right now. Go watch her right after this. Go to sugarshop.com, SUGA shop.com, or .co, I'm sorry, sugarshop.co, and check out the Timbo Sugar Show everywhere. Thank you to Gel Blaster, Red Rose, Yellow Rose, Connect Mobile Health, Hall Law Firm.
Hamas, the Israel-Palestine conflict explained. If I remember, Hamas was a political group that I think started their ground in Iraq. I think they killed Saddam. If I remember correctly. Okay, it doesn't seem like this game's completely dead. That's cool.
Falla, one of the dozen Crimson Tide players, Nick Sirianni's.
This just isn't enough for roughing the passer.
He's leading us, so, whenever you see him fight through adversity, it gives us momentum, it gives us energy. We got it.
I had this game circled on my calendar for the past 2 weeks. Easily the most anticipated Sunday Night Football matchup we had since, well, the Dallas Cowboys versus the San Francisco 49ers. And we all know how that one turned out. But there's a lot at stake for both the Miami Dolphins and the Philadelphia Eagles. So before we get to the content, if you want to support these post-game recaps, make sure you drop, like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we got all that out of the way, Ladies and gentlemen, every time PrizePicks has done this, it's practically been free money for us. For the opening weeks of the NFL season, we've had a lot of success on PrizePicks. I've been showing you guys my picks on Instagram, and I post my picks there for free consistently at The Flight Mike. And typically, you need to at least make 2 correct picks in order to make money. But in this case, PrizePicks is giving us a free Steph Curry square. Steph Curry only needs 1 point in order for his square to convert. So we just need to get 1 pick right at minimum to make money here. So if you're an NFL fan, I'm looking at Tyreek Hill scoring a touchdown versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And if you're an NBA fan, I'm looking at Michael Porter Jr. to grab more than 5.5 rebounds. Make sure you use my promo code microphone to get a $100 deposit match when you sign up at PrizePicks. This is easily my favorite promo of the year. We've had a lot of success with it in the past. I'm going to show you additional picks on my Instagram story. And thank you, PrizePicks, for the sponsor. Mike Check 1, 2, and 2. What's going on, everybody? The 5-1 Miami Dolphins have been the most dominant offense in the entire NFL, doing something that we've never seen before. Mike McDaniel seems to be on this manifest destiny to assemble the fastest players on earth to join the Miami Dolphins. So far, he's succeeding in the form of Devin Achane, who wasn't playing this game, obviously, Raheem Mostert, who was shockingly fast for a halfback that is in his early 30s, Tyreek Hill, who is on a mission to potentially gain over 2,000 yards receiving in one season, and leading into this game, he seemed to be on pace to do so, and Jalen Waddle, who is one of the best complementary wide receivers in the entire NFL. You can like him or hate him, but you have to admit, Miami Dolphins are one of the most exciting teams to watch in the entire NFL, dominating their opponents up until this point. But there was one statistic coming into this game that may have made Miami Dolphins slightly uncomfortable. And that's the fact that so far this season, the Dolphins haven't really defeated anyone too significant. Now, winning in the NFL is very difficult, and I don't want to discredit the Miami Dolphins for any victories that they achieve, especially as a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, who have lost to the Arizona Cardinals, and where the Arizona Cardinals only win this season so far. But regardless, if you're a Dolphins fan, you might be a little concerned about the fact that so far the Miami Dolphins have defeated the 2-3 Los Angeles Chargers, the 1-5, well now 2-5 New England Patriots, the 1-5 Denver Broncos, the 2-5 New York Giants, and the winless Carolina Panthers. They still have to face off against the Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs, Dallas Cowboys, and Baltimore Ravens. And their biggest test starts tonight against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now again, this isn't to discredit the Miami Dolphins because they've been so exciting to watch, but would they be able to keep up that same energy against one of the best teams in the entire NFL, which is the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that truly is coming out here with vengeance on their mind. You see, last week, the Philadelphia Eagles lost a game that they really shouldn't have lost, losing to a New York Jets team that is trying its best to eke out as many wins as possible, while Aaron Rodgers rushes back from injury at record pace, which that in of itself is a wild topic that we need to cover in a separate video, because I have never seen a player recover from an Achilles injury as quickly as Aaron Rodgers is. But even if so, Jalen Hurts had his worst game of the season versus the New York Jets and lost to Zach Wilson and the New York Jets. In that game, Jalen Hurts went 28 of 45, threw for 280 passing yards, had 1 passing TD, and threw for 3 interceptions. While Jalen Hurts did have a rushing TD on the ground, and A.J. Brown had a very dominant game in his own right with 7 receptions and 131 yards, it's definitely a cause for concern because up until that point, the Philadelphia Eagles were undefeated. And here you are losing to a team that definitely looked closer to being the top 5 draft pick as opposed to a team that could actually contend for winning in its own division. So the Philadelphia Eagles really had something to prove. You go from being undefeated to losing 2 straight games, and that's definitely going to be cause for concern. At the same time, the Miami Dolphins need to prove that they're capable of defeating dominant teams in the NFL. Another key storyline that I absolutely love about this matchup is how many ties there are to the Alabama Crimson Tide between these two teams. For the Philadelphia Eagles, man, you have Jalen Hurts, who famously was benched in Tua Tagovailoa's NCAA debut in the second half of the 2018 National Championship game, where Jalen Hurts famously gave this interview.
You know, we have a lot of guys in the QB room that play really well, and he stepped in and did his thing. Play your game, ball. You know, he's destined for stuff like this. You know, he has that impact. I'm so happy for him. That's for the team.
really have Devontae Smith. They recently signed Julio Jones, who went to Alabama, but way before Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts did. And they're facing off against Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Waddle. Lots of Alabama Crimson Tide alumni in this game. Lots of stakes in this particular game. And for the Philadelphia Eagles, they have a difficult slate of games coming up as well. As after they face off against the Miami Dolphins, they go up against the Commanders, who they've defeated before, but by 3 points in overtime. And then the Dallas Cowboys before they face off against the Kansas City Chiefs, Bills, and then the San Francisco 49ers before facing off against the Dallas Cowboys again. So they really need to set the tone here. You don't want to enter this next slate of games on a losing streak. That being said, a lot is on the line for both of these teams, so how would it go? The Philadelphia Eagles would start us out with a 12-play drive that would result in a field goal. And after the Miami Dolphins would go 5 and out, the Philadelphia Eagles would get the ball back once again, where Jalen Hurts would fumble the football deep into his own territory. Now, this would put the Miami Dolphins in prime position to score a touchdown, and they would. Tua would find Tyreek Hill down the middle for a 12-yard touchdown, but thanks to an offensive holding penalty, the touchdown would get nullified. So the Dolphins would settle for a field goal, and the Philadelphia Eagles would start applying the pressure from here on out. A signature Philadelphia Eagles drive, 9 plays, 60 yards, resulting in a Dallas Goedert touchdown. And this is where the Dolphins started to get into some trouble, because they would go 3 and out, and then the Eagles would get the ball back once again. Another big long drive that resulted in a signature push by the Philadelphia Eagles to go out by 2 touchdowns. Now, luckily for the Miami Dolphins, they got back and kept some momentum back before going into the half. I feel finding Tyreek Hill for a 27-yard touchdown, and then Jalen Phillips coming up with a big sack before the half. But a huge storyline at halftime was this is the most the Miami Dolphins have ever slowed down this year. At the half, the score was 17-10. The Miami Dolphins scored the fewest points they ever had in a half and gained the fewest yards that they've ever had in one single half, 113. So whatever the Philadelphia Eagles were trying to do so far clearly was working. And for those of you guys wondering, yes, it's pretty good. And the storyline going into the second half was, what were the Miami Dolphins going to do in response to this Philadelphia Eagles defense? I mean, in the first half, they gained -7 yards on the ground. This is very atypical for the Miami Dolphins. Even furthermore, one of the most critical pieces of their offense, Jalen Waddle, actually was back already offense. At the beginning of the second half, we saw the Miami Dolphins continue to ride their momentum. The Philadelphia Eagles weren't able to make anything out of the first drive of the half, so they punted it back to the Miami Dolphins, who finally were able to get the run game going on the pass and Raheem Mostert. But here's where it would get really interesting. On 3rd and 3 on the Philadelphia would drop back, find a wide open Tyreek Hill once again, who would drop the ball, which is something you don't have to see, because this was going to be a for sure touchdown if he was able to keep the ball, or at the very minimum a first down conversion. But what was even crazier was on 4th and 3, Tua Tagovailoa would drop back, look for Cedric Wilson, who wouldn't even get an opportunity at the ball because James Bradbury grabbed his face mask and threw him to the ground. Now, the refereeing in this game was very suspect, I want to say. I'm not a huge fan of always mentioning ref ball in particular games, but in this particular game, I want to say it was egregious. First, we got a really bad roughing the passer penalty on Jalen Hurts that resulted in the Philadelphia Eagles touchdown earlier in the first half, which I wasn't really going to bring up, but now you have this no call on James Bradbury, which resulted in a turnover on downs. Now, at this point, the Eagles had all the momentum in the game, but Jalen Hurts would drop back immediately and would get intercepted by Jerome Baker, who would return it all the way for a touchdown to tie the game 17-all. And this is where the game got really interesting. So at this point, you would think that the Philadelphia Eagles would become deflated as ever and start to play even worse. But no, they responded with a vengeance on their very next drive. Jalen Hurts would lead an 8-play, 75-yard drive, which would result in a physical, grown man, A.J. Brown, 14-yard pass TD in order to take the lead once again. One of the things I loved about this game is it was so back and forth. The tide consistently would sway from one direction to the other. And the Miami Dolphins seemed like they were destined to tie the game once again. Tua would lead a 45-yard drive down the field all the way to the Eagles Eagles' 24-yard line until they would attempt a 24-yard pass to Raheem Mostert on the right-handed side, which would get intercepted by big play Darius Slay. And given how much time that was left in the game, the Miami Dolphins were clearly running out of time here. So here's where it would get a little controversial. So I'm going to do my best to stay in the middle here, because obviously if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, you might feel a particular way. If you're an Eagles fan, you might feel another way. So here we go. The Philadelphia Eagles would make the most out of this opportunity, driving down the field in a huge clock-chewing drive that drove some football fans nuts. My personal guess why it drove so many people crazy is there were multiple 4th and 1s in this particular drive, and they would always end in the same result, with the tush push, aka the brotherly shove. The Philadelphia Eagles consumed 6 minutes and 35 seconds with this particular drive, and there came multiple instances where it seemed like the Miami Dolphins would be able to stop them. And if it wasn't the brotherly shove that would be their downfall, it would typically be, I don't know, a defensive offside called on Christian Wilkins on 3rd and 4. Here's the thing, and bear in mind, I'm a Cowboy fan. I hate the Eagles. I want them to lose. I'm yelling at my TV as much as the average Dolphins fan. But we're being honest, even if Christian Wilkins wasn't called for in defensive offsides on that 3rd and 4, you were still going to get a 4th and 1 for the 3rd straight time on that particular drive. Do you think that this 4th and 1 was going to be any different, or do you think it was just going to result in another tush push that would result in a 1st down conversion? Either way, if anything, this defensive offsides probably helped the Miami Dolphins because maybe it saved some clock in this particular instance. Nevertheless, the Eagles would continue chewing the clock until they would hit the goal line, and it would result in a 10th game-long touchdown. The Miami Dolphins would just crater at this point. They would get the ball back once again down by 2 scores, and it wouldn't look good for the Dolphins from here on out. So the Eagles would end up winning this game. And I don't want to say that the Dolphins are in huge trouble or anything, because the Dolphins had some significant injuries coming into this game. Both their top 2 corners, Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard, which on paper should be one of the better cornerback tandems in the NFL, out. And the Dolphins seem to have been able to hold their own for the most part up until Tua's interception in the red zone against the Eagles. At that point, the Miami Dolphins defense wasn't able to stop the Philadelphia Eagles offense. You could have a conversation about whether or not the tush push is ruining these situations in football. I mean, it's really difficult to say whether or not it's the fact that the Eagles are just really good at running it, or just a play that's very frustrating in general. The only reason it kind of bothers me is 4th and 1 should be a situation that has the average NFL fan on the edge of their seat. But now whenever 4th and 1 comes along, I just look at my TV screen and I'm like, oh, they're just going to do a tush push and it's going to be an automatic conversion. I don't really feel strongly that they need to ban it. I feel like they just have to look at the data at the end of the season and see on average how often does this play convert, and if it's the same for all teams across the board. For now, in the middle of the season, you can't ban it. This is going to be the year of the tush push. If there's ever a year, if there's ever a time they're going to ban it, it's going to be the end of the season. And to be honest, I think the Eagles run it better than everyone else. I've seen instances where it's failed, but I could understand the frustration if you're consistently getting them into 4th and 1 situation and you're not able to stop them because they're running the same play over and over and over again. At the end of the day, yeah, the Dolphins still have yet to be a very tough opponent. The Philadelphia Eagles didn't play well against the New York Jets, but they were able to come out with a victory. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this. If you're a Dolphins fan, are you feeling a little pessimistic about your future? If you're an Eagles fan, you feel like last week was just a fluke? Do you think this year is your year once again? I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.
Saquon Barkley was the number 2 overall pick in the 2018 NFL Draft. At the time, even though he was seen as the best talent at the running back position to come into the NFL in well over a decade, a lot of people criticized the pick. There were good players at more valuable positions, was the common remark. Already, back in 2018, the idea of running backs being devalued in the modern NFL was setting in.
What the issue is that the league is telling us what they think of running backs. And what they think is, hey, you can lead the league in rushing, you can be the heart and soul of our offense, you can be the leader, you can be the guy that when we have primetime games, it's your face that's on the graphic and not our quarterback. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, there is a cap on what we think your value is.
Still, Barkley has proven to be an elite talent at the position as predicted. And this past summer, he was entering a year where he should be getting his second NFL contract. In the NFL, your rookie contract is automatically slated based on your draft position, allowing for pretty much no negotiation. This means your second contract is where you have potential to make the most money. The financial goal of every young player in the NFL is to get an opportunity to sign a second contract in their mid-20s, a contract that can hopefully set them for life. And for running backs, this had been a tricky thing to do in the past few years. A trend has been emerging in the NFL where running backs, once the most heralded marquee players in the league since the 1960s, have suddenly become devalued to the point where for the past few years, every time an elite running back comes up for a new contract, there's been significant argument in sports media as to whether it's a smart move to pay them. Further, the evidence has shown that that can possibly be the case. In the past few years, running backs such as Le'Veon Bell and Ezekiel Elliott have shown that second contracts for running backs may not be the best idea. In the last few years, elite running backs like Alvin Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, Joe Mixon, Derrick Henry, and Dalvin Cook had received second contracts from their original teams, though the worth of these contracts pales in comparison to increases made by wide receivers and quarterbacks in the same period. In fact, because of the decline in value for the running back position, their contracts have stagnated as every other position in the league has seen growth, which is a natural occurrence in the NFL. New players come in and emerge as elite players for their position, and when it's time for them to sign a contract, they will become the highest paid player at their position, until the next elite player emerges. This happens for every position. It happened 3 times this offseason for quarterbacks. It was supposed to happen for Saquon Barkley. Barkley was the Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2018. He had another good but not great year in 2019, followed by a year where he was mostly hurt and another year in recovery, and then this past year where he was a legit MVP candidate and was the main reason that his not all that talented team made the playoffs. Instead of giving him a meta-breaking contract, or even just a decent long-term contract, his team decided to pay their mediocre quarterback a competitive salary instead. As much as this is really unfair for Saquon Barkley, from a business perspective, this was the best move for the team. The NFL operates on a salary cap system, which means that teams are only allowed to spend so much on players in order to keep everyone on an even playing field throughout the league. So every dollar spent on Saquon Barkley is money that can't be spent elsewhere. Further, the reality is that it's highly likely that Saquon's best playing days are behind him, even at the young age of 26. Running back is arguably the most purely athletic and physically demanding position in all of sports. And to play the position at a high level takes a young, strong, healthy body, something that most running backs won't have by the time they're 27. The running back's prime earning years will be in that aforementioned rookie contract, where they can't get paid their true worth. In the last 20 years in the NFL, the leading rusher has been over the age of 25 only 7 times, with 4 of those 7 times belonging to Hall of Fame legends Adrian Peterson and LaDainian Tomlinson. Worse yet, this dynamic incentivizes teams to draft running backs later in the draft so they can get high-level labor for relatively low wages. So, for their years of the greatest earning potential, they will often be underpaid commensurate to their value. Once a running back is ready to get a chance at the lucrative second contract, they will be in a disempowered position because historically, it's understood that their most valuable years are behind them. Smart teams will let them move on and find cheaper labor on the free market. Or, as in Saquon's case, strong-arm them to take lower pay than they're worth, which isn't hard because there is an abundance of good labor on the market.
This offseason, 3 high-end running backs were free agents late into the offseason, and all had to take cheap one-year deals in order to find jobs.
Can draft him now, have that 4-year deal, that contract, then tag him, not tag him, then pick up his 5th-year option, and then tag him twice, and you're 7, and that's 7 years. And then in the sport that we play, there's the analytics behind it, or the stats behind it, that after a running back is in the age 28, their production goes down. You can have a certain running back for a low price for 7 years, and we're the one that take the most mileage. We're the one, I don't know if, like you said, some of you might not watch NFL games, but if you ever tune into a New York Giants game or a Giants game this year, there's times where I had 40 touches. And there's a point in time in the season where I was 40% of offense. I finished around 30% of offense production for our team. And if you don't got to be a math major, that's a lot.
This is unheard of at any other position in the NFL. Usually players who are top 5 in their positions never even hit the free agency period because teams lock them into lucrative long-term contracts. The NFL is an overall conservative sports organization, and I don't mean that politically, although that is also true. That the powers that be in the NFL are resistant to change. So for years, the poor market viability of NFL running backs was ignored. Some teams kept paying and drafting them based on old school logic about their money worth. However, the league is also a copycat league. Now most teams have finally caught up to the reality of what the running back is actually worth. And now these players are finding themselves still playing one of the most demanding positions in all of sports for less money. So Saquon Barkley, arguably the most talented running back in the NFL, one of the best running backs of his generation, had to take a one-year deal. He will make marginally more than Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs, 2 rookies who have never played in the NFL. The whole point of the rookie salary rules were to ensure that rookies were never paid more than the top veteran players at their position. Saquon is in a shitty situation. Don't get me wrong, he's made a lot of money in the last 5 years, more money than most people will in their lifetimes. But for the job he works, for the actual value of the labor, according to the market that he participates in, he is being shafted. He will hope to enter free agency next year, but at 27, with now 6 years of wear and tear on his body, it's unlikely that any team will offer him a long-term deal worth what he deserves. He's probably going to end up bouncing around the league like a mercenary for the next 4 or 5 years from team to team before ending what could have been a legendary career in relative obscurity. Now, I know it's hard to get very indignant and upset about very rich professional athletes who play a game as a job, but if you step away from that aspect and just look at things from a critical labor point of view, it's hard to look at Barkley and his peers, highly skilled and talented workers, doing an incredibly hard job and not see how they're being cheated out of the true value of their labor. And more interestingly, how despite the vast wealth they do have access to, their plight for fair pay in a corporate system mimics the plight of American workers as a whole. The role that these men play in the industry that they've been dedicating their lives to since they were children is dying. And this is a bigger problem than we're giving it credit for. I know this may seem hyperbolic, but I really want to explain to you in this video that if the running backs, then we're all dead.
And change the way we approach the way they play the game, then we can change the rules and we can change the infrastructure and how we pay running backs. Because if we know, because to me, running back is the hardest position to play. And I mean physically. And the reason why we know that is the reason that you mentioned, is because you can tell by the year when a running back productivity drops, right? And it's usually way earlier than people because it's harder to sustain that level of productivity for that long. Whereas a quarterback, a receiver, a lineman, a linebacker, corner, you can hide. You can get away with not being as productive as you used to be. You can get away with it. Running back, He's about 28, though. It's time to get him up out of there.
We're so much more disposable. The NFL is a perfect microcosm of America in my mind for that reason, because with other sports, the players carry a certain amount of power because of the numbers, because of the fact that they don't wear helmets. So they're not just seen as a thing or an object on the field. They're seen as a human being, as a person. because you know what,
you gotta look them in the house.
you know what they are outside of the equipment. Yeah, you know, NFL players are a lot easier to be written off as gladiators that are disposable because they've always been so. And, you know, people will tell you all the time, whether you're talking about CTE and brain trauma and all the effects from that, or you're talking about just the regular day-to-day issues that most former players have to deal with. They say you know what you signed up for.
From football's earliest days into the last decade or so, running back was one of the most prestigious roles in all of sports. Football legends from the time of leather helmets up until the last 15 years were these often comparatively small, courageous, and resilient gladiators. There was something majestic, beautiful, and inspiring about watching running backs either power their way through obstacles and barriers in order to reach their goal, or use guile and agility and quickness to make fools of would-be defenders. When football is depicted on film or on TV, and there's a crowning dramatic moment, it's always the long touchdown run. There's nothing like it in any other sport. It's probably one of the reasons football has resonated so well within the American psyche. The image of men using every fiber in their body to fight against the odds for the sake of a goal, for the sake of a team. It's the very mythology of American masculinity personified. Thus, running backs are some of the most popular and also well-paid professional athletes in all of sports. And now, this majestic role in football is at the risk of being phased out. And I, for one, will not stand for it. The question, though, is how did we get here? What caused this change in the game? Why would the league slowly remove one of its most appealing and magical elements? I'm going to explain this with telling the story of how two men, in my opinion, are patient zero of killing the modern NFL running back. So let's tell the story of the two men that killed the NFL running back. It's April 29th, 2006, and it's the NFL draft. And the first killer is a man named Charlie Casserly, the general manager of the Houston Texans. The Texans were a new expansion team in the NFL. They had only existed since 2002. In 4 years as the GM, the team had yet to produce a winning season and were so bad in 2005 that they owned the #1 pick, a gift bestowed on the worst NFL team each year. It gives them the first choice on new players entering the NFL draft from college football, holding the potential to transform a team's future overnight, if the right choice was made. For every Hall of Fame legend like Peyton Manning or Bruce Smith, there were at least one or two Jamarcus Russells or Andre Bruces. This was Charlie Casserly's second first overall pick, and there was a lot of pressure on him to get it right, or everyone would be out of a job soon. To everyone with eyes that year, the most talented player coming out of college was a young man named Reggie Bush. Reggie Bush was a running back from the legendary football powerhouse, the University of Southern California, aka USC. He was a national champion and a Heisman Award winner and one of the most electrifying players in college football history. He was incredible with the ball in his hands. He could run, catch, and break big plays. He was also humble, well-spoken, and unlike so many NFL players at the time, he was clean-cut and what many might call a good culture fit. As a cherry on top, he looked great with his helmet off and would be highly marketable, especially at a position with as much star power as a running back. He even dated Kim Kardashian for a while. Both on and off the field, everyone thought that there was no better player coming out of the draft that year than Reggie Bush. The only problem was that Reggie Bush was a running back. I don't think Casserly realized it, but he was ahead of his time. For one, he didn't think that Reggie Bush was big enough to be a true, air quotes, workhorse running back, i.e. a running back that can carry the ball 20 to 30 times a game, 300 plus times a year and not break down. This was the high water mark of running backs in this era, especially ones drafted high. Backs in the previous years like Cedric Benson and Willis McGahee, Larry Johnson, and Steven Jackson were 20 to 30 pounds heavier than the comparatively svelte Reggie Bush. But Casserly thought that another player at another important position was going to be better for his team in the long run, and he shocked the world by drafting Mario Williams, a defensive edge from a smaller and unheralded school, with the first overall pick. Reggie Bush went second to the New Orleans Saints. This move by Casserly was met with a lot of skepticism at the time, but Casserly was vindicated in the end. Williams ended up being an elite pass rusher for most of his 10-year career. Meanwhile, Bush was often injured and rarely flashed the big playability that made him a star in college. And much as Casserly predicted, he never carried the full load as a running back. In fact, he often played second fiddle to the other killer of the NFL running back. Paradoxically, another NFL running back on the Saints named Pierre Thomas. Unlike Reggie Bush, Pierre Thomas was an undrafted free agent from non-football powerhouse, the University of Illinois. If the number one pick meant that you were seen as the best player coming out of college, to be an undrafted player was the equivalent of when the lights come on at the end of the night at a bar and you're looking to see who's left to take home in desperation. Thomas was undrafted in 2007 and had to sign a UDFA contract for the league minimum and fight hard to make the team. Thomas started out on special teams, but after some injuries found himself as a lead back in one of the NFL's best offenses. He didn't do much his first year, but 3 out of the next 5 years he would lead the team in rushing, playing as much, if not more, than Reggie Bush on the team that won the Super Bowl in 2010. While Bush was being paid nearly $10 million a year to be a small role player, Thomas was being paid less than $1 million a year to do basically the same thing. After that Super Bowl win in 2010, the writing was on the wall. Bush did not get offered a second contract and moved on while Thomas signed a comparatively cheap extension and stayed with the team for a full 7 seasons. Now, Reggie Bush had a decent career. He was no scrub, but he never amounted to what people saw from him in college. This isn't new. He wasn't the first high draft pick at any position to not pan out to their perceived potential, but he was outplayed on a team by a player who made far less than him, who was allocated much less resources for the team. And the Texans, who passed on him, got a better player in the process. And at the same time, Pierre Thomas and the Saints got the same level of production for around $9 million less money. At the time, I don't think people realized what had just happened, what the league had just proven about the running back position and the evolution of football as a whole. Everything that running backs are going through now was probably set into motion then. Still, in the early 2010s, Bush did get 2 more multi-year, multi-million-dollar contracts before his playing career was over. Even as a non-workhorse running back who never lived up to the potential, he remained a valuable commodity valued at his true worth. But in today's NFL, only 10 plus years later, he'd never get these opportunities. As a final proof of what's going on here, let's look at last year's Super Bowl. Last year, the Super Bowl was played between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. Both teams employ what is referred to as running back by committee. Instead of having one highly skilled and well-paid running back that can do everything, both teams had 2 or 3 to cover all the bases. The Chiefs did have a first-round draft pick running back on their team. His name was Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he touched the ball a total of 0 times in the game. He was a complete non-factor and hasn't been very valuable this whole time during his early career. Instead, the Chiefs' rushing attack was led by Isaiah Pacheco, a 7th-round rookie and one of the last players picked in last year's draft, who emerged as the lead back over the course of the season. Along with him is Jerick McKinnon, an aging journeyman who emerged as a pass-catching back earlier in the year. The Eagles are even deeper in this strategy. They were led by their main back, Miles Sanders, who was drafted in the 2nd round in 2019, and 2 other later-round picks. Sanders, who is a talented back, was then not re-signed in free agency the following year. He was signed by the Carolina Panthers for a modest contract and was replaced by talented journeyman for chump change. For the amount that Miles Sanders will make this year, the Eagles are paying all of their running backs and still will have millions of dollars left over. These 2 championship-level teams would probably have never given Saquon Barkley a shot if he were a free agent. And as of writing, they have not even bothered to take a look at high-end running backs still on the free agent market, such as Kareem Hunt, Ezekiel Elliott, or Dalvin Cook. Backs that would no doubt improve their teams, but cost more than what they want to pay for this position of low value.
You have marquee running backs for sure. But what you've seen during this generation and during this time is teams have gotten hit to the fact that that running back that you get in the 2nd or 3rd round of the draft can possibly give you just as much, if not more, production as the running back that you took at the top of the 1st round. And if you could get that kind of production from somebody in the 4th round, why use a 1st round pick on a player of that caliber? And if you know that the 1st round pick determines how much money, like basically how much money you're slotted to get paid is determined by your draft stock, your draft position. So basically with the way it is now, if the team knows we can wait until the 2nd or 3rd or 4th or 5th round to draft a running back or bring in an undrafted player, that's happening, where a guy comes in off the street and all of a sudden is your bell cow for the year. Now, that's not regular, that's not normal, but it has happened. You know what I mean? And when you see examples examples of that with that Le'Veon Bell, who holds out and decides that he's going to sit out for a year, and the team misses the playoffs. But during that time, you have a rookie come in that actually makes a Pro Bowl. All of a sudden, you look at Le'Veon and say, do I really want to give him $50, $60, $70 million?
My thing is like, I gotta be better than who's the running back who has the best hands. I gotta have better hands than who's the running back with the best, third down routes. I gotta have better routes. And so you do what you can to maximize your value so that you stay on the field. The flip side of that is you keep staying on the field as a running back, you lose value in their eyes because you have more wear and tear. You know what I'm saying? So you're always being measured with this metric of, yeah, you could do this, but it also, the byproduct of that is this. And as a running back, that's very unique, you know. And to answer your question, the toll it took was, I mean, there's a lot, I still got lingering injuries, but luckily I was, I hit early and I was able to get a payday. I still, they still robbed me for labor early for sure. 2010, I was on minimum rookie undrafted salary, and I led the league in rushing. And then the next year, I was a Pro Bowler. Top 5 rushing, top 5 league in the touchdowns, and I was again minimum league. And so they got 2 years of free labor, which again in their eyes is business, but to me it's like, yo, you robbed me. You know what I mean? Because I gave you $16 million, $15 million worth of production, but only got $500,000.
On one level, that's awful, but to an extent, that's just good business. This is the reality of what the position is worth. Not paying a running back is the smart move business-wise. Those dollars that would go to a top-end running back can pay other people on the team whose labor is much less difficult to replace. And this is because the labor that running backs provide can be easily replicated and replaced to a relatively decent level by inferior players. Barkley is a victim of the times of the marketplace and the evolution of the game. But here's my thing. Much like dinosaurs turning into birds, there's a lot of logical reasons why things change over time. But unlike evolution happening in the animal kingdom, the way this works isn't purely a happenstance of natural environmental factors. In humans and in sports and games, these things evolve greatly because of human behavior and decision. And in football's case, it's questionable whether this evolution is just due to innovation in the game or engineering of the sport with specific goals in mind. Goals that completely disregard what it takes and what it feels like to be an NFL running back.
There are actual agendas, right, that are played out from the top down, from an ownership perspective down through the coaching staff, through the media, and all the rest of the stuff. And when you look at running backs, right, most people would just say, all right, this just isn't the time of the running back.
I'm always saying, like, quarterbacks don't play our position, our sport. They play an entirely different sport than us. You're just a hater. Like, I'm not a hater, but I lived it. I'm in training camp, and while I'm getting ready for war, because I got to go hit 300-pound cats and run away from 250-pound cats and squat a cow, I got to mentally prepare for that. Quarterbacks over here playing golf on the field because they have red jerseys on and they ain't afraid of getting hit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a reality they have to think about. And even in the game, if you hit them too hard, you penalize your team. So defenders are like, I'm gonna get him, but I ain't gonna get him.
So the question is, what changed? And the short answer to that is several rules that make passing much easier in the NFL. But the reasons why those rules exist is a little bit more complex. A relatively uncritical glance would tell you that the biggest factor in the NFL's rule changes have essentially been about the sake of player safety. In the late 2000s, the issue of the NFL's brutality became a big focal point for the league. Multiple retired players, including many NFL legends, were suffering from significant mental and behavioral health issues, often causing debilitating conditions, drug addiction, depression, and in many cases, self-deletion, with some players purposely shooting themselves in the chest in order to preserve their brains so that their brains could be studied to see what was wrong with NFL players. This resulted in the discovery that football players had a high likelihood of contracting chronic traumatic encephalopathy, otherwise known as CTE, a brain disease caused by chronic head trauma, something that is highly likely when you play a game where 250-pound super athletes throw themselves each other at top speed. As a result, the NFL made numerous rule changes along with putting tons of new technology into the equipment with the goal of taking much of the wanton violence out of the game. And the places where these rules seemed to have the biggest impact on the game was in the way that defenders were allowed to tackle and challenge quarterbacks and receivers. Gone were the days just 10 or so years ago where guys could shoot themselves like missiles at defensive, unaware players as a way to enforce on-field situational control, aka making it so if you are a receiver, you better have been really brave to come over the middle of the field if Ronnie Lott, Steve Atwater, or John Lynch was patrolling it.
When you go across the middle, this is the result what happened. You get the crap knocked out of you.
And for that reason, if that reason only, I'll catch that ball. Believe me, I'll catch it. I'll go in and get it just so I can sit back in the field room and say, Hawk, seen that catch? I might even go up to the DB and say, hey, you know I traded concussion for a reception.
On top of this, while quarterbacks can still be hit, they couldn't be ragdolled and slammed into the ground, punished and brutalized for even attempting to throw passes. This overall is a good thing, but it has caused a massive shift in the way the game is played over the last decade and a half. And the end result, as I said earlier, is that passing is now a much safer and more efficient strategy. And what this means is that you don't need a running back the way you used to. Before, a 6-foot-tall, 250-pound Jerome Bettis was a key part to one of the best teams of the 90s and early 2000s. And now, 5'10", 195-pound Devon Achane looks like the biggest running back still of the NFL draft. Again, a second-round player and not a first-round player.
From the 24, on first down, a big hole for Achane, still going down the sideline. Devon.
Even other positions have changed. Off-ball linebackers used to be the size of modern defensive ends. Guys like Brian Cox, Levon Kirkland, Brian Urlacher, and Ray Lewis were huge, standing 6'3", 6'4", 250 pounds so they could tackle Jerome Bettis or an Eddie George or a Steven Jackson. Now, some of the top linebackers are much closer to 220, and they're closer to 5'11" and just over 6 feet because they had to get smaller and faster to play the passing game, because the passing game is king in the modern NFL. The passing game is key because that is how the game evolved. And most of that is because the physicality of the game has greatly been reduced, which means that Saquon Barkley's role needs to not just be to run the ball, but to catch passes and block for the quarterback. Which, by the way, and we'll come back to this later, are things he's actually still pretty good at. But it's still much cheaper to get two scrubs who can do the same two things, probably harder and for a lot less money. That said, it's a little difficult to fully buy into the player safety narrative as it pertains to these core changes. While yes, I think it's undeniable that the NFL is safer, there are still many things the NFL does that it knows makes the game less safe than it has to be. Many teams play on synthetic turf instead of natural grass, which historically is harder on players' bodies.
His first real public action here is calling for the fields to be flipped to grass. This is obviously a huge conversation around it all. There are stats on the NFL player side that say, like, hey, grass is more healthy for lower extremities, ankles, knees, and also every player that's ever played has said, yes, give me grass for my joints as opposed to turf.
In 2022, the NFL added an extra game, extending the year and thus the wear and tear on players' bodies. And also they've been playing Thursday games for years now, which forces players to play 2 football games, organized train rests within a 7-day period without adequate rest. Quarterbacks and wide receivers, 2 of the most focal points of modern NFL offenses, are now all but illegal to hit due to the new rules for safety. But in reality, it wasn't players like them most commonly having the worst CTE symptoms. Research showed that it's predominantly offensive and defensive linemen who don't experience huge kill shot hits, but get much more frequent low impact contact. And most of the prominent stories of CTE were often defensive players. This is not to say receivers don't put themselves in huge, unique danger standing there out in the open, but historically, it was other players at other positions rather than receiver or quarterback experiencing the worst health problems later in life. Lastly, The NFL doesn't pay for fucking health care for their players after they're retired. So, like...
It's just funny, they say it's about player safety, but they make you play Thursday night games. They added a game to the schedule. Like, they don't give a fuck, but they don't give health care to ex-players. How do we care about they've hit concussion studies? Like, I got a litany of shit. Like, how do you care about player safety? How is it about player safety? It's about chicken sales. Like, it's about TV contracts. Like, I wish they would just keep it a buck. The game has changed in ways as by design. They want to see more touchdowns, high-flying games, a lot of yards, right? But by doing that, they've actually, it's not that the game changed and athletes changed. They changed the rules. So defensive pass interference, going across the middle, ain't the same as what it used to be. The way in which you can hit a quarterback has changed.
It's like before, you could only have a Michael Irvin, Jerry Rice type dude, or you couldn't go over them. It just wasn't happening, right? And so now all of a sudden you can have Devontae Smith, who's like a size that you would never have seen in the NFL.
Tyreek Hill?
In the 90s, Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill's a number one.
Right. That would have never happened in like the era we grew up watching football.
It couldn't.
And so the game changes, and now Tyreek Hill is getting paid within the category that a running back would have gotten paid 15 years ago. 15, 20 years ago.
If it were purely safety, it feels like there would be different rules to change blocking and tackling, those big puffy helmets that they wear during the offseason. All the linemen should probably be wearing that in every game. So if it's not player safety, we may have to get into some uncomfortable conversations about what it was that the NFL did to change this game, with the maybe unintended but end result in having guys like Saquon Barkley taking way less money than they deserve based on the money. In his book, $40 Million Slaves, sports journalist and historian William C. Rodin talks about the concept of jockey syndrome, named after the dominance and then disappearance of the African-American horse jockey. Over a century ago, horse racing was one of the most prestigious sports in the entire country, probably as celebrated as football is. And believe it or not, it was once dominated completely by black jockeys. Black jockeys had a significant advantage in that they were often current or former slaves whose whole job had been the care and training of horses. This gave them a significant edge over white jockeys who simply could not compete. Considering the prestige of the sport as well as the significant money involved through gambling, this just could not be. So after years of dominating the sport, white folks did what they tend to do when certain types of black people get a little too much success in an area that's a little too visible for everyone's comfort, aka they destroyed it.
Only since the 1890s, when white jockeys formed anti-colored unions and virtually drove black riders off the tracks, did that profession attain its current respectability. The Jockey Club was formed and became the national administrative arm of the horse racing industry. Among its other responsibilities, the club licensed jockeys. In many cases, black jockeys were not relisted. That practice, along with a reluctance of white horse owners to hire black riders and the black exodus from the South in the face of escalating violence directed at blacks there, reduced the pool of jockeys. The root of the change was greed, money, and racism.
A combination of dirty play, bureaucracy, scandals, and economics killed the black jockeys. Black men were at the height of the sport. And similar things have happened in American sports forever, whether it be white champions refusing to fight Jack Johnson for years so that a black man can never be the heavyweight champion, or Muhammad Ali years later missing his prime years due to Vietnam because, okay, we'll have a black champion, but maybe not one that was so outspoken about racism in America. Speaking of racism in America, there's Colin Kaepernick being blackballed. Or if you want to get away from racism, which I understand probably a lot of you watching definitely do, just look at the modern NBA and how different it looks compared to how it did in the early 2000s and the 90s. I don't follow the NBA enough to die on this hill, so feel free to correct me in the comments, but changes to the rules around contact and the influx of European players has significantly reduced the level of physicality in the game and greatly reduced the amount of melanin. I don't know if the relatively smaller guys like Tyler Herro could have the same level of success if they were still playing in an era where guys like Alonzo Mourning or Charles Oakley could basically drop the people's elbow on you if you came to the paint without the proper attitude. What was a large, big man sport, usually large, big black man, is now a sport more amenable to smaller perimeter shooters. And of course, the NBA is still predominantly black, but it's not the same type of black sport that it was in the early 2000s. Insert Little Bill's video about Allen Iverson here. Historically, the black male athlete has always been a site of conflict for America. For one, the racial hierarchy in this country always needs to have black men, black people in a certain position. But when that position is elevated to sports superstar, things get a little bit complicated. Not only are these black men getting extremely rich, richer than most of the people who enjoy watching them play the sport, but they also get more talkative, more vocal, sometimes more uppity. Many of them even dare to date white women. In fact, for a while, a lot of them dared to date white women. All of these things create lots of conflict for how the black athlete is perceived and treated, and how there's always a constant desire to put him back in his place. White men in America's early history had always been depicted as the pinnacle of masculinity, in part due to their physical dominance in sport. But as black athletes began to encroach upon this image in the 19th and 20th century, there was both a shift in the way that athletic prowess was defined, but also a shift in rules to make it so these black athletes, whether or not they were really good or really bad, still could clearly be controlled or excised from the games that they were lucky to have the opportunity to play. Again, Roden writes.
And there's no question that among some powerful white Americans, black presence in sports was becoming a threat. At the turn of the 20th century, the prevailing wisdom among racialists was that African Americans, because of irreparable genetic deficiencies, would not survive. So for those who wished the country's Negro problem would just go away, the black athlete became an uneasy symbol of African Americans' deeply rooted presence in America. This resilience was crystallized over the next century by the predominance of African American athletes in white-run sports, even under the regime of jockey syndrome. No sooner had one star or group of stars been purged that another, usually in another sport, emerged.
I'm super cautious. Like, it's a red flag whenever I hear people talk about this guy's a character problem or this guy's this. That just means he doesn't do everything y'all tell him. That means he doesn't dance. That doesn't mean that he's a problem. Right. You know what I mean? Like, most of the guys that are problem guys, they don't even really talk about like that. The guys that they talk about being a problem are the ones that don't dance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's real. The problem guys they cover up for, you find out when somebody get in trouble.
Yeah, you find out when the video gets made public, or when it, you know, and right. That's the thing. You can be a terrible human being, and people will make all of the excuses in the world for you because of your utility. But the second you realize that you are more than that utility, and you operate with that understanding, oh, they'll show you your place real quick.
I say all this to say that I think a key element to the rule changes in the NFL over the last 20 years was not so much for the good of the sport, but a little bit of jockey theory. I don't think you can ignore that this alteration just so happened to shift the balance of power and focus of NFL stardom and offenses from the almost categorically black running backs who dominated the position to the still at the time predominantly white quarterback position. And that's something that's changed, and I'll get to that in a second. If you look at this shift as well as the rule changes, it all begins in the early 2000s, right alongside the emergence of Peyton Manning and Tom Brady as the superstars and faces of the NFL. Manning enters the league in 1998 and Brady enters in 2000. And in 2002, it becomes illegal to hit a QB helmet to helmet. In 2005, unnecessary roughness penalties began on big hits on receivers. Brady and Manning had already become very successful, but this is where you start to see their numbers significantly expand. And I want to be clear, because I know people are going to call me on this. I'm not saying that Brady and Manning weren't great or legends deserving of the top spots that they had in the NFL, but it's impossible not to see how their games change after these changes in the rules. For those who were there, when Brady first came into the league, he wasn't an elite passer. He was mostly a game manager, especially for those early championship teams that he was on. Those early Super Bowl championships were won because of defense and running games. And that's how most Super Bowl championships were won, up until the late 2000s. It's not until 2005, after rule changes, where Brady even posts a 4,000-yard passing season. 2 years after that, he breaks almost every passing record for a season in the book when he gets Randy Moss on his team and the team goes 17-0 in the regular season. And then the following year, he gets hurt in the first game of the season. A low hit from a defender tears up his knee in week 1. And guess what? The next year, they literally make that type of hit illegal. They changed the rules of the entire NFL to make it so that somebody had to pay for Tom Brady missing an entire season. Regardless of how you see the racial component, recognize that the game was just different before these rule changes. QBs of the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s didn't win championships just by being great by themselves. Guys like Dan Marino, Warren Moon, Boomer Esiason, and Jim Kelly are Hall of Fame level QBs that put up great numbers but couldn't beat the truly great complete teams. Great QBs that won Super Bowls had to be surrounded by good defenses and running games like Troy Aikman in Dallas or Steve Young and Joe Montana in San Francisco. And again, young Tom Brady in New England. In fact, during that time period, it was more than possible to win a Super Bowl with a bad to mediocre quarterback. Just look at the legendary names that have won a Super Bowl, such as Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson, Jeff Hostetler. John Elway is arguably the most talented quarterback to ever play the position, and he single-handedly took his teams to 3 Super Bowls earlier in his career. But he didn't win. In fact, he got blown out in most of them. He didn't win his first and then second Super Bowl until he was much older and a less effective quarterback, really because he had a Hall of Fame level running back on his team at the time. Today, things are the opposite. A good defense can't get you very far if you don't have an elite quarterback on the other side. Tom Brady dominated most of the decade on teams where you can't name 3 or 4 other significant players. Tom Brady was so good that he literally just joined a random team in 2020, and that team won the Super Bowl, even though they were one of the worst teams in the NFL for the preceding years. You can pretty much pencil in the Chiefs as the AFC representative in the Super Bowl every year, as long as Patrick Mahomes is playing, and he's only lost the Super Bowl to Tom Brady. But Mahomes also brings up another interesting issue as we circle back to whether or not race is as big a deal for the NFL as it might seem, depending on how you look at jockey. See, with all the changes in the game, to put it simply, it's easier to be a quarterback. And that has also changed what the quarterback looks like, not just in terms of race, but also in terms of height and athletic ability. Now more quarterbacks are smaller, faster, and suddenly blacker. The position has changed, and many of these black quarterbacks and their high-end athletic ability, more than likely years ago before the changes in the game, would have been forced to play other positions instead of being allowed to play quarterback. This year, nearly half the starting quarterbacks in the NFL are of African-American descent. 3 black quarterbacks were the first quarterbacks drafted in this past year's NFL draft, which has never happened before. So we will see in the future if things are really as racially motivated as I sometimes suspect, whether or not new rule changes or some other phenomenon comes to make that happen a lot less than it's happening now. And to be honest, I think that actually won't be the case. But here's the thing, the racial element of jockey syndrome is not always purely about black men, but more so the types of black men that are allowed to enter into certain spaces. So while there are more black QBs than ever before, there's also a clear delineation between them and every other black position being played in the NFL. All QBs, even the black ones, tend to be more clean-cut than their peers. A 2014 survey found that the vast majority of QBs in the NFL come from 2-parent households. I can't find data on this, but I'm very open to be proven wrong, but I imagine that is probably an extreme outlier for most other NFL players. And the result of this is that although the QB position isn't as overwhelmingly white as it was in the past, that position is still very white-coded. Players that adhere to this code of conduct and aesthetic, and players that don't adhere to that, such as Cam Newton or Lamar Jackson, are faced with scrutiny for their behavior in ways that other quarterbacks are not. The quarterback is an esteemed and protected class in the NFL, unlike the running back and their defensive counterparts. And I don't foresee a future where that changes, even if more black quarterbacks continue to enter the league. Further, I don't think white quarterbacks will ever disappear because the white quarterbacks are showing just as much athletic ability as their black counterparts. But here's the thing, we can really leave race out of it. I'm not, but if you want to, you can. Because whether it was purely player safety or jockey syndrome, the bottom line is that football changed for reasons other than natural evolution and innovation in the sport. The owners and administration, the people with power in the NFL, most of whom are billionaires, literally got in a room and decided the rules of the game needed to change to create a more exciting product and get more money. I'm trying to force you to look at the game beyond just a sport being played on the field, which I know is paradoxical because so many people watch football or watch any sport as an escape from those issues and topics. But the fact of the matter is, we got some bigger shit to talk about here. What killed the running back and what threatens to kill us all as workers and laborers is the dynamic between who has power in dictating what work and labor needs to look like and who doesn't. How do those in power value you as the worker and your labor in comparison to others? What are their goals and what are they willing to sacrifice to reach them? I said earlier that the current state of affairs for running backs is a matter of good business, and that the rule changes in the NFL are for the good of the game. But we have to ask a couple of things here. One, what does the good of the game actually look like and who really should decide that? And two, at what point should good morals and good values trump good business?
Tom Brady was amazing at his position. Like, you know, one of the greatest of all time at his position. His position is a very specific skill set, and the rules have been created around that skill set to market the game, right? You can't tell me with these eyes that I've seen that Tom Brady is the greatest athlete of all time when I've seen Barry Sanders run a football. You know what I'm saying? You can't tell me that, dog. But the way in which they market this game and this league and these quarterbacks have convinced people that these underachieving quarterbacks deserve, these backup quarterbacks deserve $10 million a season because just in case. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have, that's how much they have marketed and tricked people into believing this shit. But a Saquon Barkley is like, this is the contract you signed. Well, he didn't have any opportunity because they're not negotiating on the same level playing field. It's uneven. It's not equitable. We should not be negotiating the same way with running backs that we negotiate with backup quarterbacks. It's not the same, and they will not change that. Like I said, unless there's public pressure, and the only way to do public pressure is some kind of uncomfortable display. Some kind of uncomfortable shit has to happen.
So if you're a non-sports fan, you've gotten this far, you're probably asking yourself, how does all of this sports, ball, football nonsense relate to everyday people? Why should regular folks care that multi-millionaire athletes aren't given a fair shot to become multi-millionaire athletes? Athletes aren't auto workers or farmers or teachers. They don't provide essential labor to society. This is much ado about nothing. And there's some merit to that. But if you know me, if you watch any of my other videos, and feel free to go watch more after you finish this, you'll understand that this video was never actually about running backs. This video was always about capitalism. That's right, y'all. I am not Tom Grossi. Also, fuck the Packers. If the last chapter didn't reveal my power level, then just strap in as I put on my Antifa mask and use the power of George Soros himself to start the NFL running back People's Revolution. Seriously, I know people probably have checked out when we started getting into race, but if you made it this far, I wish you'd fully hear me out here. Because regardless of your race and regardless of the fact that the subject of this video are, again, multi-millionaire athletes, their plight is relevant to everyone in America who has ever worked for a living, who has seen their benefits shrink, their paychecks get smaller, while their work days get longer. I won't scare you too much more, I promise. You can check out my other videos. My goal here was to use the plight of the running back, a position in football that produces some of the best moments in the sport, to illustrate the folly of unfair capitalism. We have to look at how and why both the running backs and fans are just expected to be okay with this jacked up situation just because those with the money say its best practices for the sport. This starts with recognizing that the owners, these billionaires who've never put on pads, shouldn't be the ones to dictate what's good for the game. Hell, if you know anything about football ownership, half of them don't even watch the games. So we've established that running back labor just isn't all that valuable in the open market anymore. That is still true. That is not about to change because the game has changed and the market has shifted, which is why the league has adjusted. And the rules of capitalism say that those athletes just need to maybe play different positions, switch to receiver or running back, maybe even linebacker, which is actually something that's already happened. I'm pretty sure a guy like Deebo Samuel would probably have been a running back in the NFL if he came out 10, 15 years ago. And that's the nature of free market capitalism and having competition in the marketplace and you know, all the other stuff about capitalism that we're told capitalism is the key to American exceptionalism and all the good things in society and that socialist egalitarian policies are so bad. And all this pro-capitalism stuff is really ironic because in reality, rich people have always loved socialist policies. They love socialism when we use public money to bail out banks under Obama. The NFL itself has a ton of socialist policies. The NFL literally practices wealth redistribution through profit sharing, allowing for poor teams in cities like Cincinnati or Detroit to remain in competition with rich teams by taking part of their money. They purposely give the worst team in the NFL the first overall draft pick, rewarding failure, as they might call it. Rich people hate socialism, except when it's socialism between other rich people, then it's capitalism somehow, but I digress. The problem with the logic of players just changing their position is the same problem that we have when we tell fast food workers that they should just get other jobs. The labor that that job represents is still very much necessary. Somebody needs to do it. Somebody needs to run the ball, block for the quarterback and pick up blitzes and catch passes and screen passes and swing passes and all those things that make an NFL offense functional. But again, the running back still provides us with the best and most exciting parts of the game. Fans still want running backs and the modern game still needs it. So why are we allowing market forces to take it away?
All right, if this cat is still important to the game, which he is, right? All cold weather games, all playoff games will show you that. Then let's change the pay structure. Let's say they can get out of contracts a little faster. We can heavy load incentives off rip. Like there are definitely ways to do it. But again, is that good business on their end?
Right. Their job is to put the best product on the field that they can find for the least amount of money. So just by nature of those two paradigms, you're automatically going to have a predatory relationship there. But what makes it even worse, though, is everybody knows what's happening, right? They know that by the end of most of these guys' first contract, usually they've had so much taken out of their bodies that they're not even the same player that they were when they came into the league. And during the time where they're supposed to be getting compensated for that, you know what I mean? And given the generational wealth that will actually fortify them for the rest of their career, that's when they're told that you're not valuable enough. Problem is, by the end of most of these guys' first contracts, the teams see them as damaged goods.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because y'all are the ones that damaged them. If you didn't give this guy 300 carries in a year, they'd be fine.
Right.
But you want to use them for that capital. You want them to get that mileage put on them.
They want to exploit that labor.
Compensate them for that mileage.
We have a situation with the Buffalo Bills, a top-tier team that has needed a good running back for years now, didn't sign Dalvin Cook, a top 10 running back that was a free agent this offseason. Instead, they are literally starting Dalvin Cook's smaller and less talented little brother, no shade, James Cook. Somehow they want to convince us that this is best for the game, but it's really what's best for the owners. What's happening in the NFL with running backs is something that labor theorists might call specialized labor. That is, workers whose job is to do very specific things. This allows for a more streamlined and efficient work process, or in this case, an NFL offense. But it also has the byproduct of making the people that do that labor much more expendable and thus easy to underpay. Running, blocking, and catching. Those are the core features to a top-tier NFL running back. And Saquon Barkley can do all three, but it's literally cheaper to just get 3 different guys to do those same things at a fraction of the cost. even if those three guys don't nearly meet Barkley's talent in any of those three areas. So the valuable and important labor of the NFL running back still gets done, but the players and fans suffer because the players get paid less and the fans see a lesser product. And the wildest thing is that aside from being shitty for fans and players, it's literally not how capitalism is supposed to work, at least how it's sold to us as work. If I'm not mistaken, one of the core aspects of capitalism was that talent and hard work pay off, right? No. Capitalism greatly hinges upon the concept of the profit motive. The profit motive basically states that businesses should be profit-driven above all else, even if it means disregarding how pursuing those profits affect other people. The belief being that being profit-driven will still inevitably lead to better service, to customers and better products, and allowing the most talented people to use those talents is beneficial to society and everyone as well. Those talented, ambitious, and daring people willing to take risks will create and innovate new ways of doing things for their own selfish needs, but everyone will benefit, you know, all that Ayn Rand shit.
What? American media, American politics, American economy is very, very good at marketing on the side of the billionaires. They have convinced American people that one day you can be a billionaire too. And is that fair that you worked hard all those years? Just have your employees and all these things. Like, they're very good at it. All the while getting fucked in the exact same situation. Just on a smaller scale.
Yo, it's not even that they think they're gonna be rich, it's that they think this is just the appropriate order of the world.
That could be Stockholm syndrome.
Rich, yeah. These rich people deserve to treat us like shit because they're rich, and I deserve whatever I get because I'm not. And anybody like coming through to try to change shit, like that's why they fight so hard against their own self-interest. But like to them, that's the closest thing to being divine. They fight for them like gods. And that's the like the wildness of capitalism and like the culture that we've been inundated in the West. It's like rich people are overtly telling you, yo, I'm gonna like eat your children and like murder your grandparents. But it's good for the economy. And that's legit how we tend to see the world. We deify people like Thomas Edison, Steve Jobs, Henry Ford, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. These men are celebrated and loved for how their hard work and ingenuity transform America and the world with their products, innovation, hard work, grit, bootstraps, get it out the mud, all that shit. Just don't think about the people they stole ideas from or all the workers they exploited or harmed with their innovations. Don't think about the fact that factories where iPhones are made have nets on the side of them to catch people who are trying to kill themselves because of how stressful and brutal the work conditions are. Or that Teslas are so poorly made that people consistently get accidentally locked in them even when they're sometimes on fire and they can't get out their burning cars. So now there's a whole market of selling glass breaking tools as a Tesla accessory. The idea that the profit motive brings about a better product and a better society is not true. The NFL proves it, and if it ever was true, those days have long since passed. Capitalism has the capacity to promote innovation to an extent, but after a certain point, capitalism and the capitalists will always realize that the greatest innovation, the greatest way to improve profit is to find ways to pay your workers less while forcing them to work more. Going back to Henry Ford, he's best known for the assembly line. Cars used to take weeks to make, required the labor of multiple skilled mechanics, electricians, and engineers, and thus were much more expensive, making them only affordable to the rich. Then Ford created the assembly line, and the assembly line revolutionized car production and was so amazing that it was copied by other industries as well. You can see assembly lines influence in how you get your fast food, how you get your shoes, how your Amazon packages are delivered. This definitely benefited the auto industry over the long run and made cars cheaper and more affordable for more people to buy them. But assembly line work is grueling and low skilled. And because those workers are less skilled, they're easier to replace, which means that Ford can pay them less and less money and replace anyone that was making an issue about how much they were being paid. Thus, for all the work that goes on in an assembly line, people losing limbs and creating calluses on their hands, trying to plug and pull the same piece into a car for hours in the entire day, they can't even afford to buy the product they're helping to make. Even now, as cars are made from plastic instead of metal, and McDonald's hamburgers are made from pink slime, and Marvel movies have awful CGI, and some of the best teams have running backs that won't even be in the NFL in 2025. And all of the people, the real humans responsible for this labor, are being paid far less than what the value of that labor is worth. The entirety of this phenomenon is something called racing to the bottom, which is basically capitalist corporations, people with the power to enforce and alter policies, deciding that it's more valuable for them to have low-skilled labor be responsible for really important things. And those important things become less valuable in the long run, and the labor becomes less valuable in the long run. But because it's essential work, things still have to get done, and people will still have to pay, but the only people that truly profit in this equation are the people that are least affected by the law. This same logic is also used to excuse low pay and support for teachers and social workers, healthcare providers, truck drivers, and so many forms of extremely important but devalued labor. People being paid less than livable wages, despite the fact that their jobs are literally essential to everyday life. Many of these people were some of the first people to report back to work before COVID was over. FYI, COVID is not over. Please get your vaccines. And some of these people literally never stopped working, even during the height of the pandemic. And we, the consumer, are not really seeing a better product. We're maybe getting it for cheaper, and the shareholders and executives at the top of the food chain see really increases in profits. I'm sure you've already heard that during COVID, as everyone else was suffering, the top 1% of incomes got even bigger. So it doesn't matter that Reggie Bush didn't become the next Barry Sanders. It doesn't matter that 3 or 4 mediocre running backs can do the same job as Saquon Barkley. The labor that they do is not only still valuable and entertaining, it's grueling for them. Their humanity is still valuable. And there definitely needs to be a reckoning with the fact that the changes and evolution in the game did not come from a natural process. It came from those above deciding to change the game in a way that increased their profits. And I know that some people are going to be like, well, the players should just be grateful to get as much money as they're getting, especially running backs, because they're so easy to replace. And, you know, this is one of the reasons why I brought up the racial component, because you can't not notice that we're talking about 99% of NFL owners being old white billionaires and 99% of NFL running backs being young black men. Surely any football player should be thankful for the fact that they get paid obscene amounts of money to play a sport, to play a game. And there is minimal chance of death, at least when you're playing. So, sure. But not to the point where they should be okay with being exploited in an unfair situation. That they should be okay with how much money their work generates, and they don't get the biggest piece of that pie. Instead, it goes to these old white men who've never put on a helmet. Aaron Foster and Aaron Maven both put their bodies on the line literally to play that game and to make that money. You could argue that they should be grateful and that they inherited world-class athleticism maybe, but they still put in the work to get where they are.
Yeah, that is wild. The idea is that this is an honor and a privilege, and how dare you have the audacity not to take it with a smile and say thank you. Right. You know what I mean? And that was always my biggest, like when I walked away from the game, I had more football in me. I had a lot more football in me, but I didn't have the business of football in me. I didn't have a love for the entire process that I had at one point in time. You know what I mean? And that's a very real thing for a lot of players, especially now. And think about it, that guys my age and younger are the first generation that even knows about CTE and, you know what I mean? Like the real results of brain trauma. You know what I'm saying? Like, and think about it like this. It's like, man, I haven't played the game in 10 years. You know what I mean? But I know for a fact I played it since I was 5 years old. You know what I'm saying? So there's no way that I don't have some type of bullshit in my future as a result of this game. And for me to be the guy now, like, the only reason you know me now is because of what's in my head. You know what I mean? Like my intellect, my art, my talent, like everything that's in my head is literally what makes me who I am now. And that's the thing that I have to worry about, literally being ripped apart at some point. How many of us would have actually played if we knew that? You know what I mean?
And playing in the NFL was a privilege. What the fuck is you talk like by the definition of privilege? Like you can I guess you can categorize anything as a privilege. You know, eyesight is a privilege, right? But the way they market it is like it's a privilege to play in the city. Like, no, doggy, it's a right. I bullied my way here. Like I earned this. Like, how's that a privilege? And then from that, they take from you your humanity about how you got there. They take from you what I feel is like regular working labor conditions. Like you have to be able to bang for your fellow employees.
Meanwhile, the strongest predictor of being rich in America is being born rich. We create this fantasy about our millionaires and billionaires being self-made, but the vast majority of rich people, the people that we celebrate, often were rich before they became famous. Jeff Bezos, we talk about how he started Amazon from his garage, but not about the fact that he got a $250,000 investment from his parents. When you hear people say that these players should be grateful, what you're hearing is a class and low-key racist dog whistle. The idea that those born rich and powerful deserve that wealth and power by some divine right, and if they choose to share that wealth with you, the lowly football player, whether you're a black and from an inner city neighborhood, or the litany of white rural players from small country towns destroyed by neoliberal policies, you should be fine. In fact, you should be so lucky. And once again, this is why it's universal, because it's not just running backs, it's everyone who has a job. People don't want to raise the minimum wage for McDonald's workers like motherfuckers don't eat McDonald's. People think that McDonald's is for high school kids, like you wake up at 9 a.m. and get your chicken biscuit from a teenager who's going to high school. Those kids are in school. That person serving you that chicken biscuit at 9 a.m. is a young adult that needs to pay their bills. And before you say, well, that young person should just go get a better job if they want better pay, my question is, who's gonna serve you your chicken biscuit then?
I just don't understand it. But like, they have conditioned this society in thinking that sports figures and athletes, it's a separate entity from the workforce. Like, it's brilliant for the ownership and people who own these organizations and the leagues. It's brilliant. Like, it's a brilliant marketing thing. It's job well done. But, and also you don't get the empathy from your blue collar workers, right? You don't get that because it's still a labor issue. It's a labor issue on a much grander scale. And I could lobby for better work conditions. I could lobby for healthcare. I could lobby for all these things, not being understanding that this is a lot of money. You know what I mean? All those things could be true at once. But that which is in the micro is in the macro. If they fucking us at this scale, they definitely fucking you on a smaller scale. And that is the bigger issue. Is like once you realize that, once people realize that, man, I don't know how many movements socially across this nation's history have happened because sports, or happened because major issues, entertainment, whatever the case may be, has ushered those conversations into public consciousness, and then has trickled down into the regular average day life. That happens all the time, which is why entertainment, representation, all that shit is very important, and why we would bang for that shit all the time, because it matters in the day-to-day life. But like, they have done such a good job of marketing themselves as giving these poor people opportunities, that when we bang for anything, we're ungrateful. And like, when we start waking up, it's like, man, my boss is doing the same thing as these bosses. Like, that's when real change happens.
Football and sports in general are unique because it's the closest thing that exists in America that's a true meritocracy, at least with the players' numbers. America has this mythology about bootstrap politics and hard work, innovation, playing golf, and that's not true, except for on the field or the court or anywhere else where sport is being played. And I think that's why we love sports so much. Universally, the football stadium is the only place where you'll see every social, political, sexual, or ethnic group represented and unbelievably united behind one specific cause. Because in the confines of the game, those ideologies and identities get flattened into working together and supporting a goal. Sports is the only place where the American myth is still real. And the winners actually deserve to win because they were truly the most talented and most innovative. NFL players are in the NFL because 9 times out of 10, they represent the best possible laborers for the work that is professional football. Meanwhile, the owners and capitalists, their goal is making money. They have comfy chairs that they sit in while the real work is being done. And we're just supposed to take their word for it that this is the best the NFL can be as we watch Alexander Madison run for 3 yards of carry this season. I am not grateful for this. In fact, if anything, the owners of the NFL need to be grateful for me. It's my dollars and eyes, the dollars and eyes of the fans that generate the billions or trillions of dollars that the NFL makes. And the NFL splits this money 50-50 between 32 NFL owners and 1,700 plus NFL players. There is no more clear example of the tyranny of capitalism than these old, frail men holding the power and profiting 50% of this billion-dollar industry based completely off of these world-class athletes' bodies that are literally shaving years off their life and sacrificing their bodies for the sake of glory and our entertainment. You tell me who should be grateful for who in that equation. And while you're at it, tell me how most any workplace in this country under capitalism is all that different. I know when we think of workers' rights, millionaire professional athletes are not who should come to mind. I don't want it to be mistaken that I don't see a level of grossness in the very nature of professional sports in the face of poverty across the country and the world. And all of these running backs are already 1%ers who still see more money in their short careers, yada, 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 hard experience. But I also know that I could talk about this issue and hopefully people can understand and recognize that their plight is much more similar than it is apart. As with all forms of real value in our world, the source of said value is not from the top down, but from the bottom up. The value and power and talent is not from the capitalists who control the means of production, but with the laborers who make that production possible. And the laborers need to take action to rebalance that power to make things not just more fair for their labor, but also genuinely better for the sport. Unfortunately, the NFL has a players union that just agreed to a 10-year deal only back in 2020. So per that agreement, the next time the players could legally do anything about this problem would be well after many of them have played their last down. But I don't know, strikes are growing in popularity these days. It's no wonder why strikes are up in the United States 50% since 2022, and more people are seeking to take power from the capitalists. Because a lot of people, especially after COVID, looked at this system and said, whoa, y'all motherfuckers really don't care if we live or die. And we've been working our ass off thinking that this is the best it can be. And now that we know things are different, y'all might have to run some checks. And that's what NFL running backs should be. It may be ugly. I may enjoy Madden 24 or 25 a bit less, and it might ruin the NFL season, and that would suck, but I would be much happier to get a better version of the sport in 2026 than to watch Kyren Williams start another game for the Los Angeles Rams. If these folks want their money, they're going to have to organize and take it from the people that owe it to them. And that's not just me talking about NFL fans. Speaking of organizing with like-minded people, this video is only possible because of an organization that I joined a few years ago called Nebula. I pride myself on making content that on one end can be challenging, very provocative, and gets out the types of ideas that I think are important to get out here on YouTube and social media, sometimes trying to counteract the worst ideas that seem to always get out. On the other end, I also like to make ridiculous videos about anime or obscure rappers from the mid-90s. And what I found is that depending on which way the wind blows, a video may get tons of support from YouTube's algorithm, or it may die on the vine. And it's almost impossible to perfectly predict which one is going to happen. Thankfully, I've collected with like-minded content creators to create Nebula. Nebula is an independent but represents a premier venue for YouTube-like and above content to be consumed by you, the viewer, without you or I worrying about whether or not the of content creators to create. But Nebula. Nebula is an independent streaming service that doesn't so much replace YouTube, but represents a premier venue for YouTube-like and above content to be consumed by you, the viewer, without you or I worrying about whether or not the algorithm will show you a video, without ads, without sponsored ad reads, and more than likely content that has not been cut or censored to get through YouTube's Content ID systems and all these other systems that you all don't see on the back end that make every video upload in the picture. So on Nebula, you're finding content of your own politically driven and or pop culture driven analysis with a black edge, but you're also finding Legal Eagle, you're also finding Princess Weeks, you're also finding Jacob Geller, you're finding an abundance of different content creators, all giving you not just uncut versions of their YouTube content, but also independent content that you cannot find anywhere else. Some of that independent content comes in the form of Nebula classes, which are classes that Nebula creators are providing with the hopes of giving you insight into our creative process so that you understand more about how we do what we do. More significantly though, Nebula has started a renewed emphasis on original content that isn't just independent content, but things that literally cannot be done on YouTube, things that are maybe closer to, we're thinking Netflix specials or independent films. Philosophy Tube has already released her stage play, Real Life Lore has an entire series of modern conflicts in the East. If for whatever reason you aren't interested in all that Nebula offers, understand that by signing up for Nebula, you are supporting me as a creator so that I can keep making the type of content that you just finished watching. So if you're up for it, you can sign up for Nebula by clicking the link in my description and get either a monthly subscription or a full year's subscription for up to 20%. I want to say thank you so much to everyone who watched this long, and thank you to Nebula for sponsoring the video. Peace.
You fucking hear that breathing with that beta. No friends today.
This video is brought to you by
Dragon Ball Super's rumored return is on the horizon, but it's also a show that's gotten a lot of criticism over the years, and not just from me. From its humble and troubled beginnings in development all the way to its somewhat ill-conceived.
Well, thank you guys for coming back. It's great. I don't know if this is the first like in-person podcast that you guys have both been a part of or not, but it's
well, together, yeah, I think, right?
I think so. We've done them virtually, but
yeah,
together, yeah,
in the same actual room.
That's what I meant. Yeah, in the room. I know you've been on a bunch of podcasts.
Yeah,
we've been in the same room before, but not combining that with a podcast.
Been in the same room. Yeah. We've done podcasts together, but this is the first time doing a podcast together in the same room.
I love it.
Now, is this is not the room we did last time?
Yep, same room.
Okay.
So how's it feel to get censored by Joe Rogan?
It was a relief because, well, it's kind of a long story.
I know he didn't. Could be people listening. He didn't really get censored by him. The video. You guys just decided not to publish it.
Well,
there was a lot of people that were going crazy about that.
Yeah, a couple of reasons. One reason was, well, first of all, let me just give you a little of the background. I have been on Rogan with Graham Hancock, and the question of what kind of energy technology the ancient cultures might they have been using. And I don't remember exactly. I think maybe Graham or Rogan looked at me, kind of deferred to me, and I kind of mentioned offhand that I had an idea what it may have been. And before we went in, Graham and I had discussed that we were not going to get into the whole energy dimension of talking about ancient cultures and stuff. Because for one thing, that's a little bit outside of Graham's purview. He's looking at artifacts and I mean, he's looking at different kinds of evidence. But the question is hovering over always. And I think it had come up to the question had come up to, the quarrying and transport of these great stones. And, Ben will address that, I'm sure, in our conversation today. The growing evidence that they did have some kind of, the ancient peoples did have some kind of a technology that has been lost. Okay, so I just kind of dropped an offhand remark that, I kind of thought I had some ideas along those lines. And instantly, Joe honed in on that and insisted I talk about it. And I didn't intend to talk about it because I felt at the time what I knew and what I had learned, to talk about it would have been premature. Because that's the way I like to vet things before I start talking about it. I know what the hell I'm talking about. So, anyways, Joe kind of pressed the issue, and so I kind of got into it a little bit. And then he asked me if I would come back and talk about it. And I think, and I said sure, and I think I went back in November. But in the interim, a couple of things happened. As a result of what I did disclose on Joe's show, I mentioned Malcolm Bendel, the inventor, that I had been having a dialogue with at that point for about 7 years while he had been building testing prototypes and explaining to me the science and ideas behind it, right? So when I first saw it, I was like, okay, sounds interesting, but I don't have the science to really determine whether this is legitimate or not. So over the course of years, I learned additional things, and I had a conversation with an Australian author who wrote actually the book about probably one of his most famous books is his biography. So I had a long conversation with him on the phone, and as a result of that, I kind of came away, well, it sounds like this is legit. This guy, Malcolm, that I've been talking to, it sounded like he had led a pretty interesting life and was, like a lot of geniuses, somewhat eccentric. But what I learned was, and I'm not going to get into this, is that he got caught up in some scandals in the 90s and early 2000s based upon the fact that he had his background was in geochemistry. He was an oil prospector, and he discovered an oil deposit that was coveted by one of the mainstream energy companies, and he held a license to the drilling rights, and they wanted that. So what they did was embark on a campaign to scare away any potential investors. So they bribed politicians, they bribed journalists, basically they smeared him. And because of his background, there was food that they could take and exaggerate and take things out of context, just like they've done to so many. Like they've done to Graham Hancock, when he came out with Ancient Apocalypse. I don't know how much you saw in the mainstream a treatment of Ancient Apocalypse. That, Graham was being portrayed as a white supremacist, a racist, a conspiracy monger, all of this stuff. This is what they do. When you go out, you step outside the approved narrative, they start going in that. They're doing it right now too. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. trying to paint him as a complete nut job because he's questioned the efficacy of vaccines, and you're not allowed to do that. If you do, and the approach is always not looking at specifically what you say and what data, what facts, what evidence you bring forward, but it's all character assessment. So there had been this whole slew of this stuff that had come out in the 90s, early 90s and early 2000s as a result of this whole episode. The upshot of it was that the board of directors of this particular entity ended up resigning because they got caught in the big oil company. So as a result of that, Malcolm was so fed up with the politics and all of that he decided that he was going to shift gears and go back to what he'd been working on literally since he'd been in high school, which was alternative energy based upon the control of plasma, which is the fourth stage of matter after solid, liquid, gas, or plasma. And plasma has extremely interesting properties. The bottom line was this. Malcolm actually came to America. And one of the purposes he came here was, among several reasons, but one of the reasons was he was going to tutor me in the science and the technology. So we spent several months with my colleague Brad Young, Ben knows him well. They're traveling, organizing tours and all this. And Mike Robertson, who is the CEO of Outlook.com, where you will now find a whole lot of stuff dealing with plasma technology. So the three of us worked with Malcolm, developed a 43-slide slideshow that Malcolm Okay. Now this came after, but so he was here. I was scheduled to go on to Joe Rogan, and so myself, Brad Young, George Howard, who he's one of the primary people in the Cosmic Research Team.
Yep.
He does the website Cosmic Stuff. Been in the forefront of studies about the Younger Dryas, catastrophism, and all this. He rode out there with us. Another fellow was an assistant to me. We went out there together. I went on the show. Malcolm came with. Before we went on the show, I asked Joe, because Joe wanted to talk about you're a young guy. He's going to be able to really a much more explicit and active discussion of the science than I'm going to be able to. So I called up Joe before the interview, and I said, just what happens, the inventor is here. What do you think about inviting him on and talk about technology, science, what's the plasma? So I said, sure. Okay, so now in the interim, Jamie, who he started looking, found all of this stuff from, several decades ago that was part of this smear campaign. It'd be just like if 10 years from now somebody's going to, okay, who's this guy Graham Hancock? Who is this guy? And they pull up, this guy's a white supremacist. He's a racist. He's out there promoting, conspiracy theories and all of this kind of stuff. There's a whole list. And if you go back through the list of these inventors and scientists that have worked on these kinds of things, all the way back to Nikola Tesla, you see that there was suppression, discrediting of character, all of that. Right? So as we walk in to sit down, Jamie has just dumped this pile of stuff in front of Joe, and Joe was looking at it, right? Well, so my priority and goal, which was to talk about the science, at that point completely got derailed for the most part. And it got into the politics, the scandals, the conspiracy theories. And if it ever does get aired, you'll hear that I'm constantly trying to steer it back to the science. I had put together a slideshow and, and it kind of went back and forth. And Malcolm got, defensive because Joe kind of went into attack mode, which, had there been merit to this, would have been a valid thing to do. But so and then in the course of it, there was several comments made that really kind of encroached upon a territory that was being covered under non-disclosure agreements. That was part of it. Part of it was just the emphasis on politics. And as it's going on, I'm kind of like shaking my head and going, oh, this is not where I wanted this thing to go. I wanted to talk about plasma technology. We're talking about all this other stuff. So at the end of it, we, adjourn. Joe catches me on the way out, and he says, hey, would it be okay with you if I didn't air this right away, if I spent some time vetting it? And I said, for me, it was like, yes, that's fine. It was almost like a relief to me that this was not, because I knew it was going to completely derail the conversation and the discussion. So I said, I'm fine with that. And then he also asked me if I would come back on just myself. And I agreed to that and said, sure, I would. But, in my mind, I wanted to get a better grip on the technology so I could talk about it knowledgeably. And also I knew that there was testing was in the pipeline, and there was going to be some major testing going on. So I thought, well, let's wait until the testing is complete, and then the testing will objectively show whether or not the technology is real, whether it's legitimate or so on. And now the testing is ongoing right now. There have been, like Ben made a reference to what happened at the Tesla Tech conference in Albuquerque a few weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah, you vetted that pretty. What did you?
Yeah, well, there are a couple things to say. I feel like, I don't know Malcolm. I've not had the chance to meet him, but I've been intensely interested in hearing about the technology, and particularly its relationship to things like, it seems to have some properties of sacred geometry. And we can get into some of those topics, but I've heard similar things where you talk about his reputation, or the fact that he's been set up, and there's dirt that you can dig up online if you search for him, and certainly just through social media and other people, I've had people reach out to me that are worried about you and your association with him. My response to most of that is usually like, well, you know, people can be eccentric, and genius often is eccentric, right? There's very rarely do you see like geniuses and people that, whether they're right or wrong, kind of have ideas that change the world. It doesn't seem common that they're just like regular, normal people. Nikola Tesla's a great example. I mean, he was more or less pretty antisocial, probably would be, you know, not received really well. He would feel really strange to have met in person. So but you can separate kind of the man from the mission. And Randall mentioned this earlier, right? It doesn't just, if he's eccentric or these things, you know, there's dirt on him, or these things that have been said about him, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's wrong. You can separate those things. So I've personally been interested in kind of the technology and to find out, you know, let's get it tested. I've seen some of the theory. I've seen some videos of devices doing things, but there's always been the talk of the testing, and I've been talked to people that are involved in this. And then recently in Albuquerque at I think it was the Tesla convention. I wasn't there, but I've spoken to people who were, and I think you can find videos of it on YouTube. Malcolm was there. They brought a device. They had it hooked up to, I think, a 20 kilovolt generator. It had the whole thunderstorm thing attached to it, and there were a number of people there. I mean, that's kind of an alternative energy conference, and you typically have a lot of physicists and chemists and very qualified people that are interested in these things. Engineers that turn up, and there was a number of people with their own instruments, like spectrometers and gas analyzers, and they hooked it up to this device that's running off. You know, it's basically, as far as I understand it, there's a couple of different varieties of it, but one variety is one that is attached to a regular internal combustion engine. And they were seeing some, frankly, remarkable results just on the spot. And you can see this on YouTube. There's been a couple other reports about it on the internet. But, you know, it's doing things like removing carbon monoxide from the exhaust. You're increasing the percentage of oxygen. In fact, potentially even producing net oxygen might be a result of this. But, yeah, I mean, and the CO2 levels go down, plus your engine efficiency goes way up. It's kind of like a feedback loop it works in tandem with an engine. So that to me is very interesting, and what I think it all needs is kind of, you know, third-party independent verification and testing, which is, I'm sure, something that's being pursued. So yeah, it was that Tesla conference, and the data that came out of that was pretty interesting. And I mean, personally, technology aside, I'm interested in some of the theory behind it and its potential application as something that may not necessarily be a new discovery so much as a rediscovery, because as Randall said, I'm fairly convinced that there's plenty of evidence that suggests there were some powerful tools and techniques and technologies being employed far in the past. I think it's the only way to explain some of the signatures shown, the logistical achievements that have been made. And, you know, the bottom line of what that means is that there must have been a power source to have this technology operate. So this is a potential candidate. I don't know. I'm interested in it from that perspective.
I think this technology, you said it's a possibility, but how much of a possibility that this stuff is responsible for stone cutting immensely stone?
Well, let me put it this way. Now that I've got a better grasp of what it is, the more I learn about it, the more it seems like it would be the prime candidate for an alternative technology upon which an entire civilization should be. Yeah, that seems to me becoming increasingly because it is so ubiquitous. The whole idea of plasma technology, the fourth state of matter, is real, and there's been a lot of scientific studies and so it's well-known phenomenon, and it lends itself to all of these kinds of things that, you know, the alternative energy community and alternative history community have speculated about. It seems to fill a lot of the ultimately it's going to be testing and building of prototypes, and that's why Malcolm's got a nonprofit organization called the Strike Foundation, So they've applied for some patents, which are applications of the technology. Chimney strike would be, on a coal plant. So they've got a patent. But the basic principles are being put out for free access, with the idea to encourage people to take those principles and work with them, test them. So we got somebody right now who's going to be attempting sort of a backyard mechanic with one of the applications to retrofit any kind of engine or generator that operates on fossil fuel, whether it's regular gasoline or kerosene, natural gas, diesel.
The data is out there. I mean, I was talking with George Howard the other day, and he's saying that people are building it. Like you go sit through the 10 hours of content. It's out there. You have the skills to want to try and build one of these and use it as an application. You can, and as Randall said, the people are. I've seen a few different videos of building or running. Yeah, I mean, I know that the data is going out there. The theory side, and it's contained in those 10 hours of lectures that are up on YouTube.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Said twice as efficient.
They've scaled it up to a 400 kilowatt generator. So that's, industrial level.
And Malcolm said in one of his presentations that it all is based on sacred geometry.
Well, yeah, because, for example, the spheres are in the ratio of 4 to 3. And that's the fundamental number. All of these things in those ratios we get from the ancient canon of numbers, which is interesting. Otherwise, they don't work as effectively if you don't use those particular ratios.
Okay. But I do want to sort of dive deep into the fundamentals of sacred geometry. That's something that we did not cover on our first episode.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's an excellent idea.
Rundown, sort of an elevator pitch of what sacred geometry is and how it ties into prehistory. With the busy fall season already in swing, you might be looking for some wholesome, convenient meals for those jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you do it. Just prepare a dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meal delivered straight to your door. It's a great way to save time, eat well, and stay healthy. If you're like me, you're far too busy to always make sure you're eating well, that's what Factor comes into play. Take that extra trip to the grocery store, as well as all the prepping, shopping, and cleaning, and still get all the flavor and nutritional quality that you need. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are ready to go in just 2 minutes. All you have to do is eat and enjoy, so you can use Factor crushing your goals. Round up your meals and replenish your snack supply with an assortment of 45 plus items, including breakfast items like the delicious apple cinnamon pancakes, bacon and cheddar egg bites, and potato bacon and egg breakfast plates. Or for an easy wellness boost, try refreshing beverage options like cold pressed juices, shakes, and smoothies. Head on over to factormeals.com/DJP50 and use code DJP50 for 50% off. That's code DJP50 at factormeals.com/DJP50 to get more. Back to the show.
Well, I think they a symbolism that is you don't find in Euclidean geometry so much. Euclidean geometry definitions, your axioms, your propositions, and proofs, and all of that. Well, all of that is part of sacred geometry, but in sacred geometry, we also get into the idea of their meaning. And the other part of it is that the sacred geometry, you don't even have to call it that, but what you do see is that across the spectrum of nature, all phenomena manifest geometry. So if you look at the molecular level, you'll see geometry at work. If you look at the cosmic or astronomical level, you'll see geometry at work. Look at the human level. You know, most people that are at least semi-educated about this kind of material know of the golden section. They're also known as the divine proportion. You know, used by Leonardo and others going back to the Middle Ages.
The human body.
Yeah, and the human body is the repository of the divine proportion, as it's called, the golden ratio. And to put it simply, imagine that you have a line. This is the simplest two-dimensional manifestation. Draw a line, and now you divide that line into two parts. If you divide it in the middle, now both sides of that line are the same length. And it's a very static situation. You nothing really get any profit you need to have an asymmetry. Because now if you have asymmetry, in the middle, that's very static. So in the sacred geometry, what you're doing is an asymmetrical. In the one and only point where you create a proportional relationship between the length of the whole line, the longer segment. So in classes and lectures, I demonstrate this. It's much easier to grasp when you see it than just hearing it. And I am actually in the process of the homeschool, that massively growing homeschool. Because I used to teach this, I did many years of teaching these principles to homeschooling classes of kids 9 to 17. I discovered that when you incorporate the ideas of sacred geometry, it becomes 100 times more interesting than just standard truths and propositions. But let's get back to that line. An asymmetrical line where the ratio of a small section to the large section is the same as the large section to the whole line. So if you have a line and you divide it asymmetrically, you call the long length A, the short length B, and the whole length C. In this case, C will be the sum of A plus B. Okay, now let's go. You can take it either from the large to the small. Let's say the ratio of B over A is the same as A over C.
Time's up.
The short is to the long as the long is to the whole, or the sum of the two. So you could say as short B is to long A is to A plus B. And that's the basic mathematical expression of the golden section. And then when you solve that, you find out that it has a value of 1.618, 0, etc. It goes out forever, just like pi. Okay. Now that ratio is the ratio found ubiquitously throughout the natural world. Like I said, it's particularly associated with processes of growth. It's very much manifest in human anatomy. So, Danny, if you take your cubit, which is elbow to fingertip, right there built into your anatomy is the ratio I was just talking about. So hold up your forearm like this. Now feel around on your wrist, and you will find that there's a little space in your wrist joint. You can feel it. See, look, my thumb is in that space. It's called the space of desktop. Okay, so now imagine that line is your forearm from fingertip to elbow, and that asymmetrical division is marked by that space right there. So now look what you get. Small is to large, as the large is to your whole cubit, which is elbow to fingertip. So right there, it's right there. If you look at your fingers, you see, look at the digit of your middle finger, Danny. You start right here. You've got a joint right there. Now you'll notice the next joint is longer, isn't it?
Yes.
And then from the middle of your finger to your knuckle, that progression is in the golden ratio. So the small to the large is to the next larger, and then from there to the space of death's dot, right? And then from there to your whole cubit. Now, do this. If you turn your forearm horizontal, and this is, you're standing on the floor, and this is the top of your head, then this space of death's dot would coincide with your navel. So again, it's the scale invariant relationship, and those are just a few examples. You know, your navel is not the middle of your body.
Right.
However, when you're born, it pretty much is the middle of your body. But as you grow into the divine proportion until you reach adulthood. Now imagine this. Think about the proportions of an infant. Now imagine if you took an infant with those proportions, the size of their head, the distance that their navel divides their body, and you enlarge that to the size of a full-grown adult, and you saw that person walking down the street, you would think they looked strange, wouldn't you?
A little bit, yeah.
Yes, you would. Well,
something from Game of Thrones.
So the thing is, you're growing into that ratio. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And everybody deviates a little bit. Everybody deviates. Nobody's perfect, although there have been studies at looking at artist models and things like that. And you know, the further away you deviate from it, the more, I guess you'd say, idiosyncratic, to use a polite term, that you look. And there have been studies done by artists and things looking at the proportions of the human face. Now, for example, if you do this, if you take, you make a rectangle, and you use the short length as the short side of a rectangle, and the long length as the long side, you now have a rectangle that is called a golden rectangle. That golden rectangle is frequently used to frame the composition of paintings, of architecture, many things like that. Also, artists came to